There are many rocks in America. Alcatraz in San Francisco, 30 Rock in New York. But in motorsports, there's only one rock, the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. History has been made at the Rock. The Intimidator Dale Earnhardt won his 7th championship here. Young Jeff Gordon set his sights on a first NASCAR Winston Cup title with an early season victory here at the Rock. Confrontation between legendary cars has excited the crowd, leaving some heartbroken and others victorious. You never know what will happen next at the Rock. One week ago, it was Daytona Beach. Today, the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. The Goodwrench Service 400 is live on TNN Motorsports. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rock. I'm Eli Gold. A pleasure to be able to welcome you to our 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup coverage here on TNN Motorsports. So much has taken place. Many of you know the storylines of a week ago at Daytona. But this week, new teams, new faces, new crew chiefs, a lot of personnel changes. We'll be talking all about that over the course of the next short while. There are some rule changes to discuss. A lot of stories that'll be unfolding over the course of this afternoon. But why don't we begin by zeroing in on the rule changes? What are the teams having to deal with in 1997? Not just at Daytona and Talladega, but at the one-mile tracks like we have here at Rockingham today. Let's go trackside. And Glenn Jarrett, a lot of different changes for 97.
Absolutely, Eli. There was real significant changes over the winter. I think the one that we heard the most about from last week at Daytona, of course, was the cold air box. Unfortunately, we can't show you that today because the hood is closed on the car here. But the cold air box, this is the cowl opening. The fresh air goes into the cowl opening, into the cold air box, which completely seals off the air cleaner, forcing air down into the intake manifold. Now, the theory is that cold air, cold fresh air, creates more horsepower. Well, it also creates more downforce on the nose of the car. So particularly on the Ford cars, the guys have told me it has changed the handling characteristics a little bit. Now, in an effort to slow the cars down a little bit, NASCAR mandated some changes on the front fenders. If you look right here at the very corner of the front fender, you can see that the line from the outside edge of the tire to the front edge of the fender is the same. They have 1/8 inch of clearance. NASCAR has a plate 1/8 inch thick that they put on the outside of this tire, and it cannot be any more than 1/8 of an inch outside this fender line. What that has done is reduce the distance from this corner on the left front to the very same corner on the right front by about 3.5, sometimes even 4 inches. Now, that loss of flare on those fenders has created a significant loss of downforce, again, particularly on the Fords. The Chevys and the Pontiac guys say it hasn't affected them quite as much, but everybody to a man has said that the gain in downforce from the cold air box just about offsets the loss of downforce on the front fender flares. Let's walk back to the back of the car here. If you see this cord running along right here, folks, that's nothing but hooked to the generator into the oil box there to keep the engine oil warm. Now, back to the back. Last week at Daytona, we heard a lot about the quarter panels, the rear quarter panels, being 1 inch higher. Well, they're exactly the same height on this car. What NASCAR was trying to do was to standardize all the cars. So this race car here for a one-mile racetrack has the same rear quarter panel height. That's what a Daytona car did. Last year, the Daytona and Talladega cars were about an inch shorter. So it's the same now. NASCAR wants everybody to run the same cars at the same racetracks. They're always going to have Daytona and Talladega cars, though. Eli?
They will that, but a good explanation, Glenn. Thank you. And hopefully, folks at home, you'll be able to now better understand what the teams have to deal with here in 1997. And speaking of teams, there are 6 new teams in the NASCAR Winston Cup garage area. One of them is a rebirth of a famous name, Petty Enterprises 2. That's next. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. You know, it's always tough to make it into a NASCAR Winston Cup race. A number of teams failed to do so here this weekend, further heightening the problems that the teams are having to deal with. Those who failed to qualify include the names of Gary Bradbury, Billy Standridge, Chad Little again, and Mike Wallace for the second week in a row, failing to make the race. And what's the big problem they face? Well, number one, they are teams either brand new or teams stepping up from the NASCAR Busch Series, and they're operating without a net. They have no provisional starting spots to fall back on. Why don't we take a look at the struggle that the new teams have to deal with here as they begin the 97 season. New sponsors, old faces, new beginnings. 1997 sees 6 new teams in the garage area, vying for a maximum 42 starting spots. And with no provisional starting positions available, it makes qualifying crucial.
There's only 38 spots and 4 provisionals, and until we get through Atlanta, there's those new teams, us being one of them, won't have one of those provisionals. So yeah, it's very important. It's important to get in the first day.
For some reason, I'm not concerned about it. I really haven't been concerned about it all winter. Everybody else has talked about all the new teams and qualifying and what it was going to take to make races and all this stuff. And I figure if you put together a good enough group of guys, you shouldn't worry about qualifying. You should know that you got a good enough team and a good enough car, and you should have a good enough driver that you should be able to come and make these races.
And there's a lot of guys that have run last year that are, 35th in points that aren't in line for provisional, if you look at it that way, or probably wouldn't be able to use one. So we just got to go out and perform. And you've been around this business forever and ever. It's a performance business. And if you don't perform, you don't deserve the rewards that come with it.
Now, in this day and age, finding speed starts at the race shop during the week, which makes finding the right people crucial when assembling a new NASCAR Winston Cup or Busch Series team.
I think all of them told me the same thing. The cars will be simple, the motors will be simple, all that stuff will be the easy stuff, and the personnel will be the hard stuff. And I think that has been the thing, is trying to assemble a group of guys that get along with each other, that like each other, that respect each other, and that respect what the other guy says. If the chassis guy respects what the motor guy says and the motor guy respects what the chassis guy is doing, then you don't get that, well, my car's perfect, but your motor's junk, or my motor's perfect and your car's junk. You don't get that attitude, and you don't get that bickering.
I've been very pleased with the collaboration that's gone on here. Obviously, when they hired new people, they kind of waited and were very patient and waited to see who really wanted to be here, and people came here, and we have a very unique group of people, and it seems to have gelled very rapidly. So the lines of communication are good. Feel like that we're going to be very productive, throughout the first portion of the year.
Over the year, racing teams have come and gone, and it is the new teams that add to the flavor of the sport of NASCAR racing. But to be successful, first, each team must know what it takes not to win, but to survive.
I guess it's just dedication. I don't know what else it would really be. Anybody that ever comes up to you in racing, there is no planned format of how you take and become successful. You look back at teams that are successful, Richard Childress, Penske Racing, Hendrick Motorsports. They all started from one team at one time, and they never had success right out of the box. But they had the finances, they had the direction. They kept plugging away, and now for them to start a second or third team, it's nothing, because they know what they went through. And this new team's tough. It really is.
It really is, and certainly Mike Wallace knows, missing last week's race, missing it here today. But the good thing about NASCAR racing, there is next week. On to Richmond, and a chance for the Spam team to make it into the field again. When we come back, Ricky Craven and his new crew chief, Andy Graves. They're in the spotlight. Don't you go away. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Glad you're with us as we preview the Goodwrench Service 400. As you know, the first week of December each year, NASCAR goes to Manhattan to honor the NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Well, this weekend, Jeff Gordon won the Daytona 500, and then he went right back to New York. And he took along one of our handheld cameras with him to document his trip to the Big Apple. It was a whirlwind tour, and we want you to enjoy it as he did just a couple of days ago. For Jeff Gordon, this was a whirlwind week after winning the Daytona 500. He flew from his home in Charlotte to New York City to begin the talk show rounds. As the Daytona 500 champion, he stayed at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. He visited with Conan O'Brien, and later, The Late Show with David Letterman, a fellow Hoosier who had Jeff Gordon in to visit. But by week's end and many autographs later, Jeff was a happy but tired racer, ready to head to the Rock. And he is here set to go. He enjoyed his visit with Letterman, a fellow Hoosier. He went to Ball State University, which, by the way, also is the alma mater of our esteemed director, Gary Clem. The Fighting Cardinals yielding a couple of pretty good guys right there. And so, too, is Hendrick Motorsports, yielded some pretty fine racers. We know about Jeff Gordon. We know about Terry Labonte. And here comes Ricky Craven, and he does his best to steal the highlights at Daytona a week ago. What happened after the accident at Talladega? I could never envision myself even getting back into a race car, let alone trying to compete. Yet the team never got back to the level of pre-Talladega. Was it Ricky Craven? Was it the team? Was it the cars? What happened, do you think?
Well, it was definitely Ricky Craven. Certainly some, and it was the team some. And my best estimation, it's hard because, you know, after Talladega we came back. We took 3 weeks off, recovered somewhat physically. I feel recovered mentally immediately. Came back, sat on the front row at Charlotte with Jeff Gordon, and I feel like that eliminated any question of can he come back, or does he want to come back, or is it time to make a career change. Problem was, midway through that race, we're running in the top 5, still 4th in points, nearly a third of the way through the schedule, and I wreck again. And physically, the parts of me that were bruised and injured and pulled and twisted, that were beginning to heal, got beat up again. And I went through at least 6 or 8 weeks of not sleeping and having to sit in a chair and sleep for 2 hours in a chair. What that did to me eliminated a great deal of focus and concentration, and I just couldn't recover from it.
On those nights when you were sitting up and you couldn't sleep, did you get scared that maybe you wouldn't be able to come back and push the button the way you needed to? Or does that never enter an athlete's mind?
I swear to you that I was more determined after Talladega than ever. And the reason why is because I had gotten a taste of what I'd worked all my life for. And then it just disappeared. And we came back, I tried too hard. It really hurt the team because the lack of sleep I got because of the pain and the circulation problems I had with my chest and my back was similar with what the team was facing. The team was forced to build new cars. We weren't deep enough. We didn't have the depth of having 6 cars waiting. We wreck one, great. We pull one off the shelf. We keep racing. Our best car, we had raced it 6 out of the first 8 races, was wrecked at Charlotte. We never recovered from that. It took us until testing at Charlotte 3 months later to get back into form. In the fall race at Charlotte, we had the best race of my career.
Do you realize the opportunity that you've been handed here in '97? Do you realize the quality of ride you're in?
I realized it when the opportunity was given to me, and then driving the car in Atlanta in October, we tested. I only made a lap on the racetrack, and I called in and said, guys, it's going to be great. Great cars, great engines. But it's still, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. It's very much a team-oriented sport that a great team will prevail. Great cars with a driver that's not focused won't happen. Great drivers with mediocre teams won't happen. I mean, you need the whole package.
You're alongside 2 teams that have come out of that operation with championships. How much pressure is there on you? How much, knowing you, are you putting on yourself?
Well, somebody said, you know, that's hard for the team, the 25 team, to be compared to the Rainbow Warriors and the 5 team. And I said, yeah, who do you think I'm compared to? The last 2 champions, you know, Jeff and Terry. And yeah, there's pressure. But you know something, there was pressure in 1982 when I drove to Unity Raceway to run my first race. There was pressure because it meant a lot for me to be successful, for me to win. And I enjoy what I do. It's the only reason I do it. You know, it's not because of the money. I could make money doing several other things. And it's not just because of it's racing because I like being in a car and going fast. It's because I want to win. My interest is to be successful. As long as I'm happy, as long as I enjoy racing, there'll be pressure. When the pressure's gone, it means I don't enjoy it anymore, and I'm gone. I'll be doing something else. I'll make a living in the common world like everyone else does, but this is an unbelievable opportunity. It's just remarkable that I've been given this type of a chance only 2 years into Winston Cup to drive for the premier team, in my opinion, Hendrick Motorsports, be teamed with Jeff and Terry. And there is pressure, but you know, knowing that I have the same cars and engines that won races and won championships, that takes off a lot of pressure. To compete at this level, I gotta believe I'm every bit as good as they are. And I gotta believe that when I'm on, I could win at the Brickyard, or I could win at Daytona, or I could win at Martinsville, New Hampshire. And again, that's just part of that competitive spirit that I've always had. And I'm hoping that I can maintain that for at least 10 more years. I plan on retiring at 40, and I may take up fishing as a career.
We're standing beside of Ricky Craven's car. You can see the star sitting in there, Craven himself. But there's a new guy to make that star shine. A little bit of an unexpected development earlier this week at Hendrick Motorsports. This young man, Andy Grace, was named crew chief to replace Phil Hammer. And Andy, you've been with the organization a long time, and really wasn't that big a surprise to you.
Well, I guess there's a surprise on how soon it come. But yeah, they were been promised me that maybe it'd be put in this position sometime. So it's kind of weird that it happened real quick, but I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we can get this car running pretty good.
Ricky is a guy that likes to have a lot of input, a lot of say-so as to what happens in the race car, and I know that helps the crew chief, particularly a young guy like yourself, to get that input from the driver.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that helps me a bunch. It's probably going to speed up my development a lot more, and he's going to help me with calls, and we'll be able to decide race day calls a lot easier like that. But again, our whole focus is to get the Budweiser car running up front.
Okay, Andy, wish you the best of luck. You guys have a good day. Let's go back up top to Eli.
Thanks, Glenn. That is going to be a very potent combination, but how about this for a potent combination? Are they indeed the dynamic duo? Dale Earnhardt, Larry McReynolds. They are the subject as soon as we come back. Back with you here at The Rock. Everybody has talked so much about Dale Earnhardt and Larry McReynolds. A new combination. Does it mean an automatic championship? Let's talk with the fellas in question.
Tell us when the contact was first made by with Larry, what role you played, and how this whole deal came together.
Well, I don't really know for sure, really. I mean, he knows that I was interested, which I didn't think there was a chance or an opportunity because of his close tie with Robert and everything. But as we went to Japan, we had, started talking a little bit before Japan, different people. I hadn't really talked to Larry. Hello? No. But the flight coming from Japan was pretty long, wasn't it?
Pretty long. You and I talked just a little bit at Phoenix, just a little bit.
And I seen him in the airport in Tokyo, just briefly. And that just more of not really anything serious, but and then every time his wife would get up, or he would get up to go somewhere on the plane to the restroom or talk to somebody else, one of my guys would go sit down and talk to his wife.
I'm not going to ask any of the proprietary stuff, dollars and cents, but were you a hard sell? I mean, did he really have to sell hard for you to leave Robert Yates?
No, and it was not even an issue of that. Richard and I got way into the conversations before we ever even started talking about the future or money or anything. I'm not going to mislead you. Money's important to Larry McReynolds, but it's not the most important thing that goes on with my life when it comes to racing. I want to make as much money as I can to take care of my family, but winning races and winning championships is what is the most important to me. And if you do those things, I think the other stuff will come.
I've known you guys long enough. It seems that there is a genuine excitement, even during the off-season testing. You guys seem to have more spring in your step. You really look forward to the season. It seemed to me more than you had in a long time. A fair statement?
Fair statement. But that goes back to a good relationship with somebody that you start talking on the phone the first, when he went to work, we were talking on the phone, and then we got a few meetings together up at the shop when he first came on board, and the more we talked and the more exciting I got, and I've seen the confidence change, the level change just dramatically when he came on board to now, and everybody's just kept going up in confidence and what they're looking at. He makes everybody else's job easier, but he pulls the best out in everybody. He gives everybody that opportunity to do their job. He just sort of focuses them and gives them that direction.
It's a terribly tough question to ask a 7-time champion, but was there a time last year where it just got tough to step on the button?
Not really. We just, after the accident and the adversity we were in there with that and disappointing runs and, the things happened at Darlington and Bristol, I think really knocked a lot of wind out of my sail and theirs, the guys. And we started not falling apart, but really maybe questioning ourselves a little bit and wondering really, well, what really is wrong here? Was the driver hurt? Is the driver getting okay? Or are we missing it? Or is Earnhardt really not driving as hard as he can or want to? Well, to be honest with you, I really was hurt all the way through Atlanta.
So in some ways, I guess the accident in its own way contributed to this change.
Well, maybe so. Maybe it did, maybe it did not. I'm not sure. I think I still knew the communication level wasn't what it needed to be between David and I, and David's capabilities are great at what he does, but I need a Larry McReynolds there thinking like I did on that car.
Were there butterflies the first day you pulled this uniform on, though, and saying, maybe we won't communicate that well?
I've been doing this a long time, but I'm not going to be too proud to admit when I crawled up on top of that 3 truck and snapped that headset on and he went out to run, which I knew was only going to be a 2-lap run, the butterflies was churning. I didn't know what to expect. I had done some things to the car that I'd been used to doing. I didn't know if he was going to come in and say, this thing wants to turn right better than it turns left. I really didn't know what to expect, and I was a little nervous. But when I come down off that truck and kneeled down beside that car and looked at him, it's like, bam, this is going to be good. I see it happening right here.
And you're just sitting here nodding.
Same feeling.
It's amazing when 2 guys can just click like that. I mean,
Well, it is, and it's tough. I reckon you see a guy win championships and you see guys win races like they have, and you wonder how it's going to work. And I know probably Andy Petrie and a couple people's told some horror stories to him about me, and they don't want to see a guy like Larry get hooked up with a guy like Earnhardt because they know we're going to be tough to beat.
Well, I hope you agree with me that whether you're an Earnhardt fan or not, it's going to be very interesting watching that team to see how they mesh here in 1997, if indeed they do. Right now, it's time for our national anthem here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. You know this gentleman is a great gospel singer and the host of Primetime Country on TNN. Let's listen in to Gary Chapman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chapman with our national national anthem. You talk about talented families. Married to Amy Grant, a magnificent singer in her own right, as we're about set to go racing. Some great stories today. Mark Martin on the bush pole. Bill Elliott starting shotgun on the field. In the middle, guys like Rusty Wallace, who have run so well here. Kyle Petty with a new team. He's on hand. Glad you're with us. The talking stops. The green flag drops as soon as we return to the Rock. The following is a special presentation of TNN Motorsports. One week ago, Jeff Gordon continued to etch his name in NASCAR Winston Cup history with a victory in one of the great Daytona 500s of all time.
Whoa, look down on the flat here. Gordon's trying to get by Elliott going into turn one.
And Elliott gives him room.
But look at
Labonte going up the outside, and here comes Craven.
He led the Hendrick Brigade to a 1-2-3 sweep in an emotional victory lane. For Dale Earnhardt, things couldn't have worked out worse. Vying for the lead, his eyes on leader Bill Elliott, and he went for a wild ride. Earnhardt again missed his chance at a Daytona 500 victory. His overall winless streak now 28 races, dating back to March of 1 year ago. But here at the Rock 1 year ago, the Intimidator lived up to his name, shoving his way to victory, leaving Bobby Hamilton in his wake. Does the Earnhardt winless nightmare finally end today? We'll find out next. It is a magnificent Chamber of Commerce-like day in the Sandhill region of North Carolina. The Goodwrench Service 400 getting the green in just a few moments, while on pit road, everybody's strapping into their race cars. Glenn Jarrett is supervising.
And Eli, we have well documented how long it has been since Dale Earnhardt has been to victory lane. He went there at the Twin 125 qualifier last week. That's not an official race. Nobody knows it more than Dale. I know that's one streak you're ready to put an end to.
Well, it is time to win a race, but, more important, we got to get up there and run good and finish good. We've had, a tough time at Daytona, so we got to rebound from that. So we're looking to get up front and try to, be competitive here in the last half of the race and hopefully get in here and try to win the race.
Well, Dale, best of luck to you. Be careful out there. He starts 27th, folks. It makes no difference where this man starts. He's always a factor at the Rock. Let's go back up to the front of the grid. We welcome Matt Yoakum to the telecast.
Thanks, Glenn. Well, for Mark Martin, the weekend gets better, and more better. Friday, they debuted a new Roush chassis, put it on the pole with a new track record, and then yesterday in the Busch race, he dominated, winning his 7th BGN start at the Rock in his last 11 races. Mark, what'd you learn in the Busch race you can put forth to get this car to victory lane today?
Well, I'm not really sure. I think one of the biggest things I learned yesterday was the one time I thought I had a tire going down under the green, and I didn't, and I pitted. It'll have to be on the rim today for me to bring this Valvoline Cummins Thunderbird on pit road.
Well, he's won 3 times he's pulled off the weekend sweep, but he's never done it, and no one ever has here at the Rock. Let's go to the back of the field and Steve Burns.
Well, Bill Elliott fans were fired up after Daytona last week. He finished 4th, but today it's a different story. Bill had to take a provisional. Bill, what happened during qualifying, and more importantly, do you have it fixed for the race?
Well, the car bottomed out in 3 and 4 on my qualifying lap on Friday. We came back Saturday and tried to improve our spot, and the racetrack was quite a bit slower. But I feel like today we'll see what this team's made out of.
All right, have a good run. Let's go back upstairs to Eli Gold.
Steve, thank you. And with me, as always, Dr. Dick Berggren. We talk about tire management. That's all they talked about here yesterday as well.
It is the big story in the garage today, Eli. This racetrack is exceptionally abrasive. As the race wears on, as the laps count down, as the engine's just fired up, you can hear them out there now. As the laps count down, the tires start wearing down, they get slower. Now, the crews can do some things to help themselves. They balance the cars as best they possibly can, so no one tire wears more than any other. And many of the crews have put softer springs in the car. That'll help too. But the most important single element, the guy behind the wheel. He is really responsible for taking care of his tires.
So, Buddy Baker, what can a driver do to take care of those Goodyear Eagles?
Well, you got 750 horsepower. You've heard the old saying, slower to run faster. If you abuse the tires, it don't matter how much horsepower you have, you're going to the rear.
It is time for us to head to the booth and bring you the action of the Goodwrench Service 400. So do stick around. The starting lineup and the green flag when we come back to the Rock. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By the more than 1,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By Miller Lite, who invites you to sit back and enjoy a Miller time. And by MCI. Is this a great time or what? Field now begins to roll here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at the starting grid, brought to you today by Duralube. Mark Martin sweeping the bush poles here at the Rock this weekend, sharing the front row with Bobby Labonte, who was second in the 95 Goodwrench 400. Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon in row number 2. Jeff Bodine, the 94 pole sitter here, alongside Kenny Schrader, making his 25th start here at the Rock. Steve Grissom and Ricky Craven. Brett Bodine, after a tough Daytona, he joins Ricky Rudd in 9th and 10th starting spots. Ward Burton, who was 7th last week, alongside Mike Skinner, who came home 12th after the pole-sitting effort. Kenny Wallace and David Green, good to see him stepping up to Winston Cup and making the field here this weekend. 2 Rockingham wins for Terry Labonte alongside Morgan Shepherd. You've got Jeff Burton and Robert Presley going in row number 9. Row number 10, Bobby Hamilton. He led 36 laps here in last year's race, alongside Kyle Petty, who has 3 wins and 5 bush poles here. Johnny Benson, a broken toe. It's not bothering him. It's on his braking foot. Lake Speed is with him there. Rusty Wallace with 5 wins at this track, and Jeremy Mayfield, they are in row number 12. John Andretti and Derek Cope on the 13th row. Dale Earnhardt and Ted Musgrave sharing row number 14. Hutch Strickland and old DW Darrell Waltrip with a top 10 last week. Bobby Hill in his 325th career Winston Cup start today, and Ernie Irvin alongside of him. Then Joe Nemechek and Dave Marcus back to row number 18. Sterling Marlin and Greg Sachs. Dick Trickle goes in the 19th row with Rick Mast. 20th row, Michael Waltrip and Jimmy Spencer. Robbie Gordon in his 2nd Rockingham start, along with Loy Allen. And shotgun on the field, 43rd starter with a champion's provisional is Bill Elliott. Now the AutoZone race analysis, brought to you by the more than 1,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And there you see the numbers pertaining to today's running of the 32nd renewal of the GM Goodwrench Service 400. As we ride around the North Carolina Motor Speedway, Morgan Shepherd, who will be starting in 16th, will be carrying our in-car cameras today. He'll be giving us some good views, as will our bush pole sitter, Mark Martin, who is always one who happily carries cameras during our telecasts. Alongside of him, that's Bobby Labonte, who will also be riding on board with him here this afternoon. And further back, the Remington Arms team, Rick Mast, driving for Butch Mock Motorsports here in 1997. They too carrying our onboard cameras. We continue our look back. The Exide team, Jeff Burton, he'll be allowing us to ride around this 1.017 mile racetrack with him. In the garage area, some engine changes late this morning. Matt Yoakum, who had to go to those changes?
Well, Eli, Dale Earnhardt's team didn't like the way the motor responded after happy hour. They drove down a motor from their shop in Welcome, North Carolina, put it in this morning, as did Jeff Bodine. They changed motors too. And this morning, a lot of hustle around the number 42 Joe Nemechek machine. They changed motors at 11:35. So let's go back upstairs.
The light is going back on atop the safety car. The field had gotten the 1 to go signal, but they have now elected to put the light back on atop the safety car. Buster Oughton is the new pace car driver, replacing the late Elmo Langley, who passed away during the race week at Suzuka Circuit Land. So why don't we take a look at the manufacturer breakdown here today. Chevrolet, 14 of them, 22 Fords and 7 Pontiacs. And there you see the manufacturer's point standings as far as this season is concerned, 1 race in. As for the point standings overall, let's take a look at the Haviland Formula 3 motor oil point standings. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. And a very competitive Daytona 500, guys, and maybe some names, or at least Ricky Craven's name. It's a pleasant surprise to a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's been very competitive years so far, and I'll tell you what, doesn't matter whether you like Ford, Pontiac, or Chevrolet, your brand's got a real good chance to win here. The last 3 races at Rockingham, a Pontiac's won 1 of them, a Chevy has won 1 of them, a Ford has won 1. Take a look at the front 2 rows. You got a couple of Fords, a Pontiac, and a Chevrolet. Very even.
Indeed, an update from Glenn Jarrett on the pit lane.
Well, guys, I'm standing down here. Let's remember one thing, that in years past, the series champion always had the #1 pit spot. That is not the case anymore. Now the guy that sits on the pole gets first choice. He always takes this thing, and boy, do they have room. The #1 pit spot here at Rockingham is at least 2.5 to 3 times bigger than the other pit spaces. They got room to grow vegetables down here, guys.
Only 30 pit stalls, though, on the front straightaway. Positions 31 on back are pitting on the back stretch, and that is not necessarily the best way to do it, though Neil Bonnet, our late buddy who used to work here on TNN, he won from the back pits here at Rockingham, so it's not without precedent, buddy.
The real tough part is getting in the back straightaway pit area, because you're down in the corner there where you have a dog leg coming through the front straightaway here to get in the front pit, so the angle is really tough to get in on the back straightaway.
Here we go. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing here at Rockingham. .157 miles an hour plus around the 1 mile. And by 5 or 6 car lengths, Mark Martin will lead the first lap here at the Rock.
Well, one thing Mark has to really realize is setting a fast pace right at first. He uses his tires up before the other cars just behind him. The tire management, this kind of race really is for a driver like Terry Labonte, somebody that really knows how to protect his tires.
And Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace and any of the guys who are exceptionally good on a road course will do exceptionally well when tire management becomes a critical issue as it is today.
Well, it's like Buddy said before, you got to drive slower to go faster. That's certainly what you do on a road course, and that does translate here to the Rock this weekend. This race is 393 laps. That's what equals the 400 miles. This track is 1.017 miles around. Working lap number 3. No changes among the running order with the exception of near the back of the field. Folks who were double file now going single file virtually all the way back. Bobby Hamilton is on the move now. He's running in 16th spot there with Morgan Shepherd in the 1, Jeff Burton, and the 29 being Robert Presley.
Looking at Bobby Hamilton in the middle of that group in the number 43. We remember him back here last spring and just how very fast he was. The car he was so quick in last spring, on the truck, they decided it's worn out.
You can see the 29 car there, Robert Presley, on the lower side of the racetrack. He's trying to get position as they start down in the corner. Can't make her.
Meanwhile, Glenn Jarrett has an update from the pit lane.
Well, he got a report over Mark's radio. He said the car was shaking very badly, and the crew chief or the team manager, Steve Mills, says that the engine is missing, yet he continues to pull away. Boy, that's bad news for the rest of these guys.
I was going to say, he's shaking his way to about a 10-car length edge right now. 6 laps complete as you ride with Mark Martin.
It's a brand new car. They didn't have any practice with it until they got here to Rockingham. All the laps that car has ever seen on any racetrack have been right here Setup is pretty much the same setup that they won with yesterday, pretty much the same setup that they had here last fall when they ran so very well, except for the shake. They didn't have the shake then.
Can you tell anything as we ride along here, buddy? We got the microphone turned on in Mark's car.
Well, you know,
it's tough to tell if it's missing or not.
It sounds very, very good. It's very smooth. Listen to the motor just for a second. I don't hear any misfire at all. No. It could be a variety of things. A car has so many moving parts that it could be any small thing that's making it vibrate.
There you see Dale Earnhardt working his way up through traffic, now in 26th position. Glenn, we listened in, don't know how well you could hear, but up here we listened into Mark's car. It sounds just fine.
Yes, it did, Eli, and Mark has reported now that it seems to be clearing up. Steve Mills speculated that they might have had a partially fouled plug, and once Mark got underway, it cleared it out, but he seems to be okay right now.
So all you Mark Martin fans can breathe again at the racetrack where he and Ward Burton both notched their first NASCAR Winston Cup career victories over the years.
You see Kyle Petty there fighting with Lake Speed as they come around side by side there. This is a very narrow racetrack when you have cars stacked up like that, and Dale Earnhardt trying to find track position right now.
That's 22nd place, the battle you're watching on the screen.
Rusty Wallace right in there with the 2 car. He says he's got more horsepower than he has ever had before in an unrestricted race. They found something late in the year in 1996, and they've brought it here to Rockingham.
That is Snake, the car that they're driving, named after Don Prudhomme, the great NHRA drag racing star. They named it after the win at Bristol a year ago.
She's a re-skun snake, though. They took the skin off it. They had beaten it up so many times it was full of body filler, so they took the body off and redid it, put it on a diet, redid all the lines in the car to save some weight in it that way, and they've cut her down.
But snakes shed their skin anyway.
They do indeed.
We're inventing words as we go today, guys.
Up front, Dale Jarrett having caught Mark Martin. It was a 10-car length advantage, now nose to tail. Lap number 12 is on the board of 393.
Well, Jarrett's got a lot of experience in that second place. He finished second in both races, Winston Cup races here at Rockingham. And here he goes for the lead. Jarrett on the outside.
Makes the outside pass work as he goes into the corner.
He also finished second yesterday in the Grand National race, and in last fall's Grand National race, he was second. So 4 races, 4 second places. I think this is really where he wants to run right now.
So it's lucky 13 for Dale Jarrett. He takes over the lead on the 13th lap of the Goodwrench Service 400 here at Rockingham. The folks at Food Lion, the official supermarket of NASCAR, bringing us all of the aerial shots today over top the North Carolina Motor Speedway. We appreciate the folks at Food Lion hopping on board to help us bring the coverage of NASCAR racing to you here on TNN. We're watching this battle, or not so much a battle, but the progression middle of the pack. You've got guys like Earnhardt, you've got Rusty Wallace, you've got Ernie Irvin. David Green is there, working their way at positions 20 on back. Of course, having started further back in the case of Earnhardt and Wallace, now picking their way towards the front of the field. There you see middle of the field now, Kenny Wallace, Morgan Shepherd. 43 was Bobby Hamilton. They're working in the 14th, 15th, and 16th spots. Jeff Burton, we ride with him now. Mike Skinner directly ahead.
Skinner's got more experience here than any other Winston Cup track. He's got 16 starts, 7 of them here.
There's Bill Elliott. He's in 27th now after starting tail end of the field. Again, it's a 43-car starting field. He used a champion's provisional to get in by virtue of his 1988 NASCAR Winston Cup championship. So there you see he's up to 27th, goes to the inside of Jeremy Mayfield, makes him 26th there, and he continues to pick his way towards the front.
Eli's been passing a car a lap just about every lap. He passes 1-2 cars in every corner, so he is really on the move right now. Bill Elliott had a shock that was bottoming out when he qualified. Running very well today.
That was the pass for second place you just saw as Bobby Labonte moves around Mark Martin. Dale Jarrett's the guy ahead there at the top of your screen. He is the race leader, and Jeff Gordon now setting his sights on Mark Martin. Lap number 23 on the board of 393. And there you see a gaggle of cars that about took themselves out seconds ago. Probably worth watching here for a moment. John Andretti, Jeremy Mayfield, Robert Presley, Johnny Benson, Michael Waltrip coming up from a provisional starting spot. They're now third place changing hands. Jeff Gordon having gotten around Mark Martin. So it is Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, now Mark Martin backsliding to the fourth spot. Glenn, any problems now with Martin after the scare he had earlier?
No, Eli, the car's okay. Mark has just backed out of it a little bit as he does a lot during the race. He led some laps. He's trying to save the right rear tire. I think that's from his experience yesterday in the Busch Grand National race. He's just taking care of the car. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon is reporting a real bad push when somebody gets up close to his car. Also, Dale Earnhardt says his car is a little bit loose.
I tell you, this is one of those racetracks, folks, if you've never been here, where you really need downforce number one, because turn one, where the guys are going right now on your screen, it's kind of a tricky corner. You can get in there pretty hard, but you got to be careful not to slide too high up the racetrack. And then at the same time, you've got to get through turn number two, buddy, as you were telling me once, without pushing and getting yourself into trouble there. It's not an easy corner.
Well, there's 22 degrees of banking in turn 1 and 2, and when you start towards the back straightaway, you have a little crown in the racetrack, in the middle part of the racetrack, and when you start over it, it kind of throws the car out towards the wall.
They're now turn 3 and 4. That's banked 25 degrees. There you want to go through low so you can get off the corner with as much momentum as you can. There goes Rusty Wallace inside of Robert Presley, but he couldn't quite make it work.
3 and 4 is such a strange turn here. You actually go uphill coming out of the fourth corner as you enter the home straightaway. You go right up the banking from the bottom.
Let's see if that Mike Edgy power plant can get Rusty to the inside there. Ernie Irvan behind him. Got Kenny Wallace and Robert Presley to the outside. That's the battle at 20th place right now. 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd on your screen.
Eli, you can see the cars beginning to move all over the racetrack. They're hunting a line that the car will run the fastest on right now. There is no preferred line around this racetrack at the moment.
Rusty Wallace, a super racer at this track, though he was 22nd and 8th a year ago here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. A bit off from what has been normally a trip to victory lane for him.
Yeah, didn't even lead a lap last year here, but I wouldn't count Rusty out at all. He is a cagey kind of guy. He's a real smooth driver, and in a situation like we are facing today, a long, tough race where tires are a critical variable, where strategy is ever so important. Look at this guy. He has won at Rockingham 5 times. That's more than any other active driver. Keep your eye on that 2 car. He's going to make some noise before this day's over.
Meanwhile, up front, it is a 1 3/10 second advantage for that man, Dale Jarrett. As Terry Labonte's crew look on, their driver is running 14th. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway, and we're watching the battle for 18th position now as Ernie Irvan and Rusty Wallace have been thrilling the crowd, and Ernie got a little squirrely there coming off the corner.
That can hurt you. If you start sliding the car off the corner, of course, it heats up the right rear tire and makes it run loose. You see Bobby Hamilton experimenting on the high side of the racetrack. Quite a few of the cars right now are moving up on the racetrack to keep from really pinching the car, getting in the corner and wearing the tires out.
Jimmy Spencer, remember guys last year, almost found that groove by accident, but it worked for him.
Yeah, he did, but Ricky Rudd said this morning that might be a very smart groove to run today, and Rudd is one of many who are upstairs. Earnhardt's running upstairs. Bobby Hamilton upstairs. And, buddy, what you said is exactly correct. You don't have to turn the steering wheel as much to stay upstairs, either going into the corner or coming out. It's a much smoother line, and that will protect the tires longer. Look at them all up there.
That's 20th and 21st you saw moments ago. This is second place now as Jeff Gordon tries the inside on Bobby Labonte's Pontiac here at the stripe.
You can see Bobby just back completely out of the gas going down the front straightaway and let Gordon go, because I think Bobby Labonte right now is running a very conservative race, taking care of everything. They just let him go.
Buddy Baker, how tough was it for you when you had to deal with different types of race cars? Here's Bobby Labonte with Chevrolets for years, now the Pontiac. Is it a tougher adjustment, I'm sure, for the crew than for the driver?
Yeah, the driver goes pretty much by the seat of the pants, but it's up to the crew to really balance the car and start working in the wind tunnel, finding out how much downforce you have, where do you need to put the lead in the car. There's so many things you have to work on.
There's Dale Earnhardt in the number 3, working the high side of the track in 16th position. And he's picked up from 27th starting spot to the point he now challenges Ward Burton. He's keeping it wound up. Spenny Clendenin's engine's working well off the high side of the racetrack.
He was right in front of him, too. Skinner.
Yep. Richard Childress Racing's other entry. Although anything but that last week when he sat on the Busch pole for the Daytona 500.
Didn't he look good last week? He just looked great.
That whole front row, you had to be tickled for he and for Steve Grissom, who goes from no ride a few months ago to the front row for the greatest race in the world.
And Skinner from a situation where he was barely not even able to pay for tires or make races, and all of a sudden he is right on top of the biggest stock car league in the world. Great stories have happened in 1997.
Field now begins to lap some of the slower machines on the racetrack. If you're a Johnny Benson fan, he's running in 31st position. And the reason we bring up Johnny Benson is the fact that he is driving with a broken big toe on his left foot as you continue to watch Earnhardt work his way towards the front. But Johnny Benson was joking in the garage area. He said, "I'm going to be just fine. Don't worry about it." There's a guy had a tough break last week. Had a top 10 finish go until that accident with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, there's more to that story, though. Benson says that it's his braking foot that doesn't work well. So he just recommended everybody stay away from the front of him. You know, just let him lead, and nobody's going to have any problems with Johnny Benson in that number 30 car.
There's old Johnny running in 31st spot right now for the Bahari Racing team. Meanwhile, let's go back to Ricky Craven and Ricky Rudd now. 7th and 8th spot on the screen.
Yeah, they're starting to run the Harry Gant groove, which was right up against the top part of the racetrack. You can see they're moving the groove out, and they're moving up through the field, and they're kind of mirroring each other. Everywhere Ricky Craven goes, so does Ricky Rudd. And Ricky Rudd, probably one of the smoothest drivers of all the Winston Cup drivers out there.
Right now, we're working at lap number 43. Glenn Jarrett, what are we looking at as far as green flag pit stops if everything stays as is?
What they're telling me right now, Eli, in fact, the 88 car, 18 of Bobby Labonte and 24 of Jeff Gordon, all their crew chiefs told me somewhere around 70 to 80 laps. Mark Martin, his crew told me that they figured only 65 to 70 laps on tires. So it's real critical. Right now, almost every car, every driver is screaming for bite. They want some bite. The cars are starting to slide around and get loose. It's just tire wear. They're going to have to learn to manage it.
Trouble on the back straightaway.
As spinning machines of Lake Speed bring out the caution flag. Concurrent with that, Ernie Irvin had gotten around Dale Earnhardt moments ago when Earnhardt went high on the racetrack. But we are under caution now at lap number 46. There was no other contact out there, but the Melling team with Lake Speed brings out the first caution flag of the day. For those of you who maybe don't follow NASCAR Winston Cup racing very closely, but might have heard something about Lake Speed being sponsored by the University of Nebraska this year, well, that sponsorship went by the wayside. There was some ongoing discussions within the Cornhusker state that just didn't let that sponsorship take place. So that's why they're running out there with the red colors, but no lettering on the side. Pit stops now, lap number 46. The leaders coming down the pit lane to the attention of their crews and Glenn Jarrett.
Dale Jarrett brings the 88 Ford in for a stop. This will be obviously 4 tires, guys. Don't see any chassis adjustment on him. Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin have also come in, and they were asking for chassis adjustments. And there is a chassis adjustment on Jarrett's car on the left rear. We'll get you an update on what the other guys do. Let's go further up pit road to Steve.
Bobby Labonte's just in. He's been complaining that his car is loose too. 1996 champion Terry Labonte's in. They're going to put a round of wedge. Gary Dehart decided to put 1 round of wedge in, and he hits the tire as he goes down pit road.
Meanwhile, on the
back straightaway. There are pit stops taking place for some on the lead lap, including Ernie Irvan. So everybody making their pit stops. Among those on the lead lap, here you see Bill Elliott, Ernie Irvan, Michael Waltrip, all making their stops under the first caution of the day. Welcome back as the field is about set to get the 1 to go signal. There you see some of the pit stops and how they took place. Mark Martin came into the pit lane 4th. He is now 1st. Dale Earnhardt was 17th. He's now 14th. But guys, the man who actually made the biggest gain was on the back pit area. Ernie Irvan came in 15th, picks up 5 positions. He's now running 10th. So Steve Burns, maybe there is something for that back pit if you can get out there lightning fast.
Yeah, I guess so, Eli. And also, hey, just to update you, we noticed a moment ago that Bobby Labonte was in. I just talked to crew chief Jimmy Makar. They did add a round of wedge because they are fighting a loose condition. Let's check in with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Steve Danamayan, as I said, the 88 car, he put a little bit of bite in the left rear, had 4 tires. Jeff Gordon made an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Mark Martin, 3 rounds of wedge in the right rear. He was getting loose going in. Ricky Rudd, 4 tires, no adjustment. And Jeff Bodine made a half-inch adjustment on the track bar. Back to Eli, we're going green.
We are going green. The field will come to the stripe to take lap number 50 of 393 here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Dale Earnhardt, who won this race last spring. Ricky Rudd won the event here last fall. Let's see what happens today. Green is in the air. Loy Allen is already a lap down, being bypassed by the field now as they steam off into turn number 1. You know, we talk about the speed here, 157 miles an hour in 1 mile racetrack. And you look back over the years, 30 years ago, Dick Hutcherson was on the pole. Remember that gold and white number 29 of his? 116 miles an hour was the fastest lap, and now they're at 160.
Yeah, but that's just like talking about a soapbox derby with a Hemi engine in the back. Those cars didn't drive quite as well as these cars.
That's true. Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon ahead of him. Dale Jarrett in second. Mark Martin is the race leader. Nobody in the garage area. All the pit stops coming during the caution flag of moments ago when Lake Speed spun off the number 2 corner.
We were talking a little while ago, Eli, about Bobby Labonte and how crews have got to deal with the changing body styles. Labonte went to a Pontiac this year. They've got the same setup that they ran last year with the Monte Carlo. Works just as well, says the crew.
Irvan, Rudd, Rusty Wallace to the inside of Kenny Schrader. So Schrader now going from 11th spot back to about 13th or 14th as he gets back in line as we ride with Rick Mast now. He's in 14th position himself. We talked about Earnhardt from 17th to 14th. Now he's up to 13th, Matt Yoakum.
Well, Eli, before the race, a lot of guys in the Goodwrench Service team are a little nervous because this meant today would be the first over-the-wall opportunity for Jimmy Elledge, the new front tire changer, and the new rear tire changer, Clint Ballard. They busted off a killer stop. They made a couple little changes. They dropped the left side air pressure and put 1.5 rounds of bite in to try to fix a little loose condition. As far as Ricky Craven, he also took on 4 tires as he was a little bit of loose off, so they put a little bit of wedge in. But he says the car is awesome.
We're at lap number 55, and that Dale Earnhardt roster that Matt was just reciting came about with changes earlier in the week. Changes that Richard Childress, the team owner, said had to be made in the aftermath of Daytona. As you see, the battle for the lead is no battle at all. Dale Jarrett just blows right by Mark Martin.
Well, there's actually one change made even before Daytona. Ricky Vyers, who had been the rear tire changer for Earnhardt, moved over to Jeff Gordon's team before the season even started. But at Daytona, with some slow pit stops and some other problems that Richard Childress said, I don't even want to talk about him. It's internal. We're going to deal with it. They moved some people around, and this week they have practiced every single day. I asked Childress, did you have a team meeting and talk to the guys, give them a pit talk? He said nobody had to say anything. That crew is on red alert for sure today.
Meanwhile, it is Dale Jarrett who is now showing the way, having blown by Mark Martin moments ago to lead for the second time here in the Goodwrench Service 400. Some great battles on the racetrack. Ricky Craven just blowing by the number 18 of Bobby Labonte. They'll move Craven up to the 4th spot right now as you see him pulling away from Labonte. And remember, folks, best career finishes for Ricky Craven as you see Bill Elliott making the move as well from his shotgun start all the way up into the top 5 right now. Ricky Craven finished 3rd here last spring, 3rd last week at Daytona, 3rd last spring at Darlington. So he's good. But how about the ride Bill Elliott's given that McDonald's car?
I tell you what, when they called him Awesome Bill, that was a few years back, and a lot of people give him other names in the past couple of seasons, but he is back. I tell you what, you can go down and talk to Bill and just feel the enthusiasm he has right now. That car is flying, and Bill Elliott is back.
So is the guy in that number 7 car, Jeff Bodine. That same enthusiasm is part of the number 7 team as well. They've, in both cases, settled down. They've had little personnel changes, except for getting rid of some people that really didn't want to be on those teams. Elliott's guys didn't move over the course of the winter. Bodine has added Lee Morse to his team to help him take over the management situation.
Tryson, the new crew chief.
And a new crew chief, and look at the results. Bodine is running really well, and Elliott from 43rd spot all the way up to 5th today.
We're riding with Jeff Burton. He's in 8th.
He could be a real factor here today. Never won a Winston Cup race, this kid Burton, but he goes so well at Rockingham.
A lot of guys have run well here over the years, even if they haven't necessarily won. Here comes Ernie Irvin. That's for 6th. Give it to him.
That car is a rocket ship down the straightaway. He just pulled over and just passed right by down the straightaway. Mark Martin pulled over just a second ago and let Jeff Gordon go into 2nd place and then fell right behind him and run him right back down. So the 6th car of Mark Martin has a lot left yet.
Loy Allen going behind the wall as he takes the number 19 to the attention of the crew. They started near the back of the field with a provisional start here today, and they've had some problems. So Loy Allen going behind the wall. Remember, he had that bad accident here last spring in the race we brought you on TNN.
I get a kick out of Ernie Irvin. I asked him yesterday, I said, what's the secret to really going quick at Rockingham? He said, Dick, just don't slow down in the turns.
Yeah, good thought.
How about Elliott making the outside work against Jeff Bodine?
Well, they're catching him right now. He was passed by the 28 car just a second ago of Ernie Irvin, and now Bodine's trying to work on Bill Elliott on the bottom side.
Yeah, but it's not going to work. He just stays with him on the outside. He caught himself up there and kept the power in the Ford engine.
Good struggle there. 7th, 8th, and 9th. You're watching out of Jeff Burton's car. Burton was 5th here last fall, 5th the fall race before that. Buddy Parrott is crew chief. It's a good organization, a good, solid organization.
And, of course, across the top of the screen, we'll keep that rundown going for you of all the mail we got last year from you folks. So many wanted to make sure that update continued crawling across the top of the screen. So we're making sure to bring it back here in 1997. That is current, to let you know how your favorite driver is running. 1 4/10 seconds is the advantage that Dale Jarrett enjoys. We are 71 laps into the 393, having been slowed by 1 caution. It is a 1 6/10 second lead for Dale Jarrett as we bring you the aerial look. Compliments of Food Lion, the official supermarket of NASCAR. John joining us here on TNN Motorsports to help cover today's running of the Goodwrench Service 400. Don't forget, folks, race into the all-new and official store of NASCAR. You can visit NASCAR Thunder, the Gwinnett Place Mall in Atlanta, the Haynes Mall in Winston-Salem, the Westtown Mall in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Vista Ridge Mall in Dallas, Texas. And here in 1997, there'll be 10 to 12 additional NASCAR Thunder stores opening up. We'll keep you updated on those locations throughout the season. Also a pleasure to have the folks from MCI Telecommunications on board as the official telecommunications company of NASCAR, and they are bringing you this year the fastest lap run by a leader throughout the course of each and every race. There are dollars on the line as this day goes and as the season winds towards its finish. Mark Martin right now at 152 plus, as you saw, and there is Dale Jarrett, the race leader, 1 6/10 seconds ahead of Jeff Gordon. You've got Mark Martin running in the third spot, and there you see the rundown across the top of the screen with Ernie Irvan and Ricky Craven going 1 through 5. We're just sitting here talking between ourselves on the commercial break. On the racetrack, Ernie might be the strongest man going. Whether he can win out of the back pit is that other factor to have to be dealt with today.
You know, we're looking at a team concept right now. The leader, Jarrett, and Ernie Irvan both seem to have everybody outclassed right at the moment. It might be something they, you know, a little knowledge that they pass from team to team.
Well, the Yates team will do that, Glenn Jarrett, no question.
Oh, absolutely, Eli. They share knowledge, as do all multi-car teams. I put the stopwatch on Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvan a couple of laps ago. They ran identical lap times. They are the two quickest cars right now. Track position is very important, and if Ernie can keep doing what he did last time, he could well be a factor out of the pits on the backstretch.
Lap number 83 on the board of 393 as you ride with Bobby Labonte, one of a handful of teams carrying our onboard cameras today. Remember, nothing is predictable here at Rockingham. The last 4 races here, we've had 4 different winners. And if there is a track over the years that has favored Pontiac, it has been here at the Rock, where they have won 9 of the last 18 races. So there are no guarantees at this place. Heck, there are no guarantees anyway.
Yeah, but maybe less so here than anywhere else. This is just such a very difficult racetrack to run lap after lap with perfect precision. It's so easy to get in trouble here. Just one tiny little slip by any driver, even up in front of you, can collect the driver who had been running very well otherwise. And look at Elliott. My goodness, a little slip in qualifying puts him 43rd on the grid. And what a great race he's having today.
And there's Ernie Irvan. He's in the 4th spot right now. And Steve Burns, you've made your way to the back pit area where Mark Reno and the boys are watching Ernie maybe be the quickest guy on the track, but can they win from that back pit?
Eli, let's get the answer to that question. Mark, you guys are wicked fast. Can you win from the backstretch?
Well, you know, it's always tougher doing it back here. But we felt, based on our qualifying run, we didn't re-qualify because we felt a good spot back here would be better than a bad spot over there. Yeah, with the crew we got, these guys are great. I mean, they whip out some stuff. And, yeah, I think we can do it from back here.
There you have it, Eli. They're pretty confident.
So he's confident. Again, remember that Ernie has been strong here as you watch now Jeff Bodine battling with Jeff Burton. But Ernie Irvan has finished in the top 6 in 5 of his last 6 races here. And guys, let's make sure everybody understands what we're talking about here about the back pit area. They pit on both sides of the track here. What makes the back pit somewhat of a penalty box, buddy?
Well, if you're on the front straightaway, of course, you pick up the pace car, and that's the first pitch you come to. The guys on the front get to stop, and the other guys have to go all the way through turn 1, all the way into turn 2, and then down the back straightaway into their pits. These guys are leaving already when they get stopped.
Even though Buster Otten speeds that pace car up a little bit, you're still at a deficit.
Oh, you certainly are. And green flag stops, it's a disadvantage, too, because of the angle you come in the pits over there.
Yeah, it's really tough to pit out in the back, no question about it. It'll be interesting to watch Ernie Irvan today. You talked about him finishing so well here in the last 6 races. He's been 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Only 1 position missing. 1st.
And you never know. Today could be the day as Robbie Gordon, now being shown in 37th spot, is being lapped by Dale Jarrett. The lead now 2 6/10 seconds at lap 90. Back with you at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Dale Jarrett now putting a lap on Joe Nemechek as he gets to put yet another team a lap down. But it's not been all a cruise for Dale Jarrett. Watch what happens, guys, a couple of laps ago.
See Bobby Hillen in 77 car there as he come off the corner. Just about some contact there.
That could have ruined a good day in a hurry. Dale Jarrett, though, working his way around now, putting more and more teams a lap down. He has lapped up to the 37th position of this 43-car starting field. And you know something, Dick, you called it on the pre-race. You were discussing tire management because how the speeds drop off. And if my stopwatch now is not lying to me, the speeds are dropping off big time.
Yeah, mine says the same thing, Eli. We're about a second a lap slower right now, but don't expect anybody to come in and take a couple of tires or 4 tires until they really have to. There'll be a lot of follow the leader stuff here. It'll be interesting, especially interesting to see how some of the teams that have had crew changes will handle these tire changes.
Let's watch Dale Jarrett now. He's going to put 36th place David Green in the cat car, trying to put him a lap down. Everybody waiting, watching, see where your favorite is now in relation to Jarrett, who had gone by. Take a little further back, and you'll spot your favorite. Big packs of traffic that Dale Jarrett's going to have to deal with here shortly. There he goes, putting Kyle Petty a lap down now to his inside there in the 44. Good scramble now between Jimmy Spencer and Kenny Schrader.
You know, last year in this race, Jimmy Spencer, like we said earlier in the broadcast, found that high groove by mistake. He lost control, slid up into the outside and passed 2 cars, getting it back straight. He's on the move right now. He's moving into contention.
That's 15th place.
And he's in a backup car. The car he'd hoped to run today, bent it up in practice.
Jimmy completed the most miles on the Winston Cup Series last year. The most miles, but he only finished 15th in points. So it was either feast or famine is what that basically tells you. Good to see Rick Mass smiling this week. I spent a lot of time down on pit road in Daytona last week watching Loy Allen driving the team car because Rick couldn't qualify the number 75. And it's great to see him having a good run here today in the top 20.
And Schrader in the 33 is smiling a whole lot more too. Had a good qualifying run here at Rockingham. Team seems to be coming together very nicely.
They are running in 16th right now. Schrader is in the 33. Here's Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace. That's 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Earnhardt and Wallace have run together this entire race. They have just sort of want to let the other guy pick the holes in traffic, and then they'll swap roles and turn it around, but they're just running right together.
That's the 10th place pass going right there. Give it to Earnhardt.
That's called a good old slide job there. He just got to the right place, let the car, Dale Earnhardt let it just slide right up in front of Bobby Labonte.
Working lap number 101. If you're just joining us, Loy Allen behind the wall. Only one caution flag today. Late speed spun off turn number 2. And that has been it today. And here goes Rusty Wallace challenging Bobby Labonte. That's for 11th. And Rusty makes the move. And Ricky Rudd is right there, a former winner here at the Rock. And here comes Terry Labonte.
No rest for the weary. You can see Bobby on the outside there. Bobby Labonte fighting his brother now for position, but that's 4 positions he lost in 1 lap.
Once the handle goes away like that, if you slide, you're lost.
Well, that's the real problem. Once the handle goes away and you start sliding, it just gets worse and worse as time goes on. Doesn't get better, for sure.
138 miles an hour that last lap. Again, the pole speed of 157 miles an hour plus. So again, documenting what Dick Berggren has been telling you about the speeds dropping yesterday by as much as 1 3/4 seconds during a green flag run.
Doesn't mean they're poking around. They are still whistling.
Not at all.
Sure. That number 10, Rudd's driving. Great story on that car. That's the same car that won the race here in '96 with Rudd driving it. And it's the same car that Hut Strickland won his only pole with. Won it here in October of 1995 with the late, great Kenny Bernstein team.
Ricky Rudd winning at least 1 race in each of the last 14 years. Meanwhile, the leader now in a pack of traffic. He is one of 11 machines working the racetrack, but he still has a comfortable lead. Back with you at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. He's been biding his time. Dale Jarrett, the race leader, now makes the move around Dick Trickle, putting him a lap down if he can stay there. For those of you who are Loy Allen fans, there he is back on the racetrack, 44 laps down after repairs on the back pit lane. On pit road, we have seen Bobby Hamilton stop. Kyle Petty is in. Derek Cope is in, making their stops now at lap number 111. And our friends at Napa returning for another season here on TNN Motorsports, bringing you the full field rundown. Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running, and they keep that crawl across the top of the screen running for you at home as well. Dale Jarrett still in that big pack of traffic we told you about as we broke away for commercial. Johnny Benson off the back pits. He makes a stop at lap number 112. How about the leaders, Glenn? We're at lap 113 now. When are the top cars coming in?
Eli, we're looking at probably around lap 140 or so for Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin and them, we're talking about around lap 131. Ray Everdham told me that he would bring Jeff Gordon in when the other guys pitted, so he wasn't tipping his hand at all. Same thing for Terry Labonte. Dale Earnhardt looks like he's coming in at about 15 laps. And again, Mark Martin assured us that around lap 131 we should see him.
We told you of Johnny Benson's stop. You saw the last few seconds of it. Ward Burton in the 22. He's running in 27th position. He'll be the next man to be caught by Dale Jarrett. And now remember the car just ahead there in the bottom of the screen, the 43 and the 44. Both of those teams have already stopped for tires. So if you see them pulling away from the leader, you'll know why.
They're caught up in traffic, and right now they have the fresh tires. They'd love to be in some open racetrack where they could use them up.
Ready getting some fresh tires. Hut Strickland as well, both on pit road right now.
They are in at lap number 115. 3 wide.
No stuff. Hey, buddy, what do you think? If one of the real top guys comes in and takes 4, are they all going to follow him or not?
They're all looking at the times right now and kind of evaluating, do we stop now or do we wait and stretch it another 10 laps? I guarantee you our pit group knows.
How about Ricky Craven? He's running in 4th as you see Dale Jarrett put Michael Waltrip a lap down. Matt Yoakum, what's Ricky going to do?
Well, I posed that question to Andy Graves of Crucci. He said, we expect to maybe go another 27 to 30 laps. We're still a little bit loose. We made some adjustments the last time, putting some bite in. We're going to have to just go a little bit more, but Ricky still says the car is pretty good.
Lake Speed is on the racetrack. You see in the number 9 after the accident of earlier. He is trying not to go a lap down again, but can't quite hold off the power of Dale Jarrett. Kenny Wallace can't hold on either, as Herman is running in 23rd, as they call him in the garage area, Herman the German, and he goes a lap down.
We'll tell that story later on this year. It's really funny when
it really is.
But if you notice Dale Jarrett, watch the car go right on the white line as we're looking at it go through the corner there. He's one of the lowest cars on the racetrack, probably the least slick part of the racetrack because nobody's able to stay down there but DJ.
And he is smooth as smooth can be down there. Mike Wallace got passed. He's in, or Kenny Wallace rather, got passed, so he's in for tires now. That you can pretty much count on. Anybody that gets lapped within a lap or 2, you're liable to see him in the pits for fresh rubber.
22nd place going a lap down. Robert Presley in the number 29 machine. Feeling okay, by the way, after his accident at Daytona. He said, I was moving on Tuesday. We talked to him on the radio. He said, I was kind of moving like Walter Brennan on the real McCoys. He said, I was kind of hurting on Tuesday, but he's just fine. And as Dale Jarrett lapped him, you called it. Presley comes in for a stop at lap number 120. Also in for service will be the Mike Skinner machine. If you're just joining us, Dale Jarrett took the lead in this most recent sequence at lap 57. We're now at lap 120. He also led from laps 13 through 46, so he has been the dominant car here today.
Steve Grissom taking tires on. He's in the pits right now. Everybody but the leaders, it seems, huh?
We told you Mike Skinner is in for service. We got Kevin Hamlin and the boys going to work.
You see Dale Jarrett there in the 88. Now that's old tires. Just in front of him is Greg Sachs in the in the 20 car, and he just went by DJ like he was stopped. The difference is about a second with good tires.
And Bill Elliott is on pit road, Steve.
Eli, we talked to Mike Beam just a moment ago. On the last pit stop, they adjusted the track bar and air pressure. This time they're going to put on 4 tires. As you see, Joe Garoni and Gerald Shires working the left side. I do not think they're going to make a chassis adjustment. On the other hand, Ernie Irvin just called in. He should be in about 10 to 15 laps. He said this car feels like it will drive anywhere on the racetrack.
And Ernie's running in third behind that man, Dale Jarrett. Jeff Gordon is in second. There you've got Ricky Rudd, followed by Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin. And here now come some of the teams who have taken on the tires as pit road continues to heat up. Bobby Labonte is in. Brett Bodine, there's Bobby Labonte. Kenny Schrader is in. So too Jeremy Mayfield. These spots are stops at lap number 124, Glenn.
Well, Bobby Labonte's brought the Interstate Battery Chevy in, Eli, and he was complaining about the car, the way it was handling. It was slipping around all over the racetrack like most of the other guys. I've got the clock on it now. It's a 4-tire change. They made a big adjustment on the left rear of the car. Bobby's down in a weight 20.25 seconds. That's a good stop.
How long before the leader stays out and then finally has to come in, because even if he doesn't need tires himself, everybody else is taking him on and they're making hay against him on the racetrack now?
Well, as we speak, Rusty Wallace is coming in. Some of the lead cars are now giving up the ghost because they know they're losing a lot of time to the cars that have stopped at this particular time in the race.
Rusty's running 15th.
So 25 to 26 second lap here at Rockingham. So if you're down a second a lap, doesn't take long.
Matt Yoakum.
It's a 4-tire stop for Rusty Wallace. He said the car was a little bit loose. They're going to adjust it with air pressure. He's down and away.
And here comes the leader. And here comes second place. Dale Jarrett is in. Jeff Gordon is in. That will give the lead to Ernie Irvin. He'll take over at lap 127. Glenn Jarrett.
And Dale Jarrett brings the quality care forward again for his second green flag pit stop, first green flag pit stop, excuse me. I don't think we're going to see a chassis adjustment. They will make a slight air pressure adjustment on the car. Jeff Gordon likewise was reporting his car was a little bit loose, so they're going to try to tighten him up. Jeff's car felt good early in the run. Jarrett's crew working on the left side now. Gas is in. He's down and away in 19.47 seconds. Gordon is just now getting the left sides done, and he is not quite down. He's down now, and let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Glenn, the 25 Budweiser Chevy pit of Ricky Craven comes to a stop. He's still a little bit loose, like we talked earlier. They're going to adjust a little bit of air pressure and put one round in. A little further up here road, Dale Earnhardt was complaining his car was pushing. They went a little too far in the last round of stops, so they're going to try to loosen him up a little bit.
Number 1 on the left of your screen, that's Morgan Shepherd. He'll get on the binders, allowing Ricky Craven to pull away.
Ernie Irvin just went in the pits on the back straightaway.
Steve Burns is there monitoring Mark Reno and the team.
Eli, I just talked to Mark Reno. Oh, Ernie comes in hot, but he stops safely. They do not want to make any changes to this car. As I said a moment ago, Ernie said, I can drive it anywhere. Joey Knuckles on the front tire, Ray Fox on the rear, Ray's around first. Again, they are not going to make any changes. Joey Knuckles a little bit slow getting around. They slow him down a little bit on the racetrack, but again, he is the fastest car on the racetrack.
Morgan Shepherd finishing his change now in the Delco Remy entry. So all the leaders now having made their stops, and it'll circle on around as the field continues under the green. We're at lap 129 of 393 at the Rock. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 is brought to you by the more than 1,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by the Ford F-150, strength after strength. There is the race leader, Dale Jarrett, as he now has fresh Goodyear Eagles on board. Everybody coming in. There's the pit summary. Jarrett actually yielded the lead for one lap. David Green led lap 130. First time in his NASCAR Winston Cup career that he's led a lap. But then as soon as Jarrett came back out and Green led, Green went and made a pit stop. So Dale basically doesn't lose anything in the exchange as we ride now around the 1 mile North Carolina Motor Speedway. Let's go to pit road.
Well, guys, I'm putting a stopwatch right now between Jeff Gordon and Ernie Irvin, second, third place. Jeff was about 2 seconds ahead of Ernie. Now he's 7 seconds ahead. So Ernie lost a good bit on that exchange. Buddy, you made a good point about getting in and out of the pits on green flag stop. Dale Jarrett also picked up about 4 extra seconds on Jeff Gordon. In other words, he lengthened his lead that much on Jeff on that exchange of pit stops. Let's go further down pit road to Steve.
Hey, Glenn, we know why the 28 car lost 5 seconds. I talked to Joey Knuckles, the front tire changer. He said a lug nut fell off while he was trying to get the lug nuts on, and an official was standing right there. He said, I figured I better get them all on. So that's why they lost that exchange. Now let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Hey, Steve, we told you at the last pit stop that Rusty Wallace took 2 pounds out of the right front. Well, this is the time of day that guys are starting to experiment with their lines. He's changed his line a little bit, and he said he's gotten a lot faster. Also, a little bit of scanner traffic between Dale Jarrett and his spotter before the last round of pit stops. His spotter said, DJ, you're not the fastest car on the track. Morgan Shepherd is. So you might want to keep your eye on the 1 car.
Well, it's worth keeping an eye on Morgan. He is running in the 7th spot, but there is Dale Jarrett, who right now has 6 positions over Morgan Shepherd as we work the middle stages of this GM Goodwrench Service 400, the 32nd renewal. We're riding with Morgan Shepherd now, and let's see what kind of line he takes around this racetrack. That's the backstretch. Dives into the 25-degree banking. Back past us here at the start-finish line, running in 7th spot, Morgan Shepherd.
The team was not expected to do this well, so much so that even some of the pre-race publicity wasn't exactly right. They listed the sponsor as Mike McSwain and a fellow named Delco Remy as the crew chief.
Really? Something just happened to Bobby Hill, and he's slowing on the racetrack, and he's going to be going to the back pit area. He had backslid all the way to 42nd position, and Bobby is taking the Jasper Engines entry to the back pit lane as you ride with Bobby Labonte. He's in 21st position, Bobby is, after the sequencing of pit stops. Nobody's in the garage area. There you see Hillen just making his quick stop now to the attention of the crew at lap number 143. You saw it very briefly at the right-hand side of your screen.
You're watching Schrader in that number 33. A lot of his fans are perhaps wondering, now that he has changed teams, will we see him back in sprint cars, midgets, dirt champ cars, and supers? He says no. That part of his life is over. He's going to race stock cars from now on.
Loy Allen has gone back to the garage, and Steve Burns, what's the problem with Bobby Hillen?
Well, we heard Bobby say that he has a problem in the motor. They changed right side tires and went back out. And I thought I'd add, we've talked about ill handling race cars. You mentioned Ken Schrader. He is ill himself today. He's had a very, very bad cold. He's had a hard time breathing through his nose and talking to Andy Petrie on the radio.
Meanwhile, the guys who are pitting on the back pit, they're still doing pretty well. You've got Ernie Irvin running in the 3rd spot, Bill Elliott running in 5th. So far, the back pit bugaboo hasn't bitten them yet. Granted, we're still early, but they're flogging at it and staying with the race leaders. Lap 146 on the board of 393. There's the top 10. We're coming right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are live on TNN Motorsports, the Goodwrench Service 400 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. And there's Dale Jarrett still leading. Ricky Craven in the number 25. He's running in 5th spot now. And let's take a look at something that happened here just a moment or so ago and see if you see something come off the back of Craven's number 25 car. You see right there? Oh, there maybe a spring rubber that bounced loose or something, or a piece of tire or something. Don't know what it is. There's Ricky still running well, so whatever the problem, it's not significant enough to woe him down any.
Well, on that side of the car, it could be a cover, a dust cover for the front axle or the bearings there, or it could be off the rear axle. So I won't speculate it. It wasn't enough to throw a caution, so it rolled out of the way, and he's on his way, so he's running well.
Meanwhile, Bobby Hillen, we told you, going to the garage area a short while ago as Kenny Wallace just hit the wall coming out of the number 2 corner. And Kenny continues around in the square D entry, but he tagged the wall off the number 2 corner. Let's get an update on Bobby Hillen's problems.
Eli, we're back here in the garage with Bobby Hillen, who's sitting inside the car. Terry Wooten and the crew working feverishly. Bobby, what put you behind the wall?
I don't know. We've got several problems wrong right now. I don't know what's the matter. It's just, we had about 2 or 3 things go wrong all at once, so I really can't tell you more than that.
Bobby's got a Bible verse taped to one of the crossbars inside the car, and right now he's praying to get back in the race.
Bobby Hillen, an early exit from Daytona a weekend ago, and now behind the wall as Dale Jarrett goes around Sterling Marlin trying to put the 18th place man a lap down. Let's take a look what happened to Kenny Wallace moments ago as he came out of the corner. Got on the binders, but not enough.
Eli, he was on the outside part of the racetrack. He had a problem way before he hit the wall there. He was up against the outside there. May have got into you get rubber buildup right next to the wall there, and it might have just slipped over into the wall as he started off the corner.
And there's Kenny running again now in the 28th position. 3 6/10 seconds. You see the spread from Jarrett to Jeff Gordon there on the top of the screen. And notice how quickly everything drops back. Spencer is in 10th. He's 20 seconds back. We are, as a result, kind of picking and choosing the battles that we're showing you on the racetrack because there's a number of space, a good bit of space right now between these top contenders. Darrell Waltrip making a pit stop now. He's in 34th position, and Darrell is in now at lap number 159. Let's catch you up with with Jimmy Spencer now. We told you Jimmy running well on the high side of the racetrack. There he is, actually a middle groove for him, but he's in 10th, guys.
Well, he's running every inch of this racetrack. He goes in the corner, lets the car go right down on the bottom. Now watch this where he goes right up towards John Andretti there. As they start off the corner, he cuts it back to the bottom. He's sliding that car around the racetrack.
Riding with Mark Martin, he's the 11th place runner. And there goes Earnhardt trying to challenge to his outside. And there's Rusty Wallace in the 2, Spencer in the 23. That's 9th and 10th place up for grabs.
You know, I don't think we had a picture of Rusty Wallace without having Dale Earnhardt in it all day long. Yeah, they've been right together. Mark Martin fought a bit of a push yesterday in the last practice session, said this car was not handling as well as his Grand National car did yesterday. I guess not. That thing absolutely dominated the Grand National race. There was no one who could touch him.
But Mark's not won here in a Winston Cup car since that initial win in 1989.
Yeah, he got it done once. Crew is very hungry. They know that they've got a whole team here that can perform exceptionally well. They went all of last year without winning a single race. They are very, very hungry to get themselves back to where they know they ought to be, which is in victory lane in this Winston Cup car.
Well, they better get hungry and in a hurry quick, because I tell you, Dale Jarrett is flying just behind them. He's back in the same corner with them to put them a lap down now.
18 runners on the lead lap, and we're coming right back to pick up the story as we're working lap 163 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Pit stop's the name of the game for some. Lapping the field is the name of the game for that man as Dale Jarrett continues to wear them out here at the Rock this afternoon. Welcome back, everybody. Eli Gold, Dick Berggren, Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Matt Yoakum, Steve Burns, the entire TNN Motorsports crew on hand for today's Winston Cup event, the second race of the 1997 campaign. And great to have joining us in the booth now a gentleman who you all know as the host of Primetime Country and one of America's top gospel music artists, Gary Chapman. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you here.
Good to see you. I want your job.
I'm sorry, it's not available. You got a job.
Right. You only work one day a week and you grin the whole time. I love it.
Well, we'll take it. It does beat working for a living, I'll tell you that. Great to see you, by the way. How's the golf game? Last time you and I saw each other, I guess, was Fanfare in Nashville.
Yep.
How's the golf game doing?
Well, I don't know. I don't get a chance to play anymore. I'm working too hard. No, it's warming up a bit at home. I'll get back swatting at it here before long.
Tell you, Primetime Country has really become a wonderful show. We watched it as it began to grow under your host's role, and very comfortable. Everybody knows you. You got some great stories. It's a lot of fun each night.
Yeah, I have a great time. I do just laugh pretty much all day. Really enjoy it a lot.
Of course, a lot of folks you mentioned earlier may know that you and Amy Grant are married. It's almost criminal to have that much talent under one roof.
No, it's okay. It's really okay, yeah.
How's Amy doing?
She's doing great.
You a big racing fan?
I really am. I love it. My son and I sit and watch this stuff and just love it every Sunday.
Here's Bobby Hamilton now coming down the pit lane. The black flag was out being displayed to him, and the crew goes to work on the right side. They'll also make a chassis adjustment as you take a look at the battle now between Wallace, Spencer, Elliott. They're all scrambling now for positions 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead, Gary, pick it up. You want the job?
Yeah, did he come in too fast? That's why I got the black, right?
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Anytime.
I'm a quick learner.
So Bobby Hamilton is in for service, lap 171. Also in is Johnny Benson as we still watch this good battle now. 8th, 9th, and 10th spot on your screen.
Yeah, and you see Jimmy Spencer there. He's fighting these guys. He's trying to get by Rusty Wallace right now and Bill Elliott. He's running the low line right at the moment. It seems to be paying off.
Petty making a pit stop, the number 44 car. Got to give Spencer a hand. I'll tell you what, to come back in a backup car, he had virtually no practice in that automobile yesterday. He is doing an absolutely tremendous job here this afternoon.
And here comes old Dale Earnhardt. He's in 11th right there at the back of the pack. Ricky Rudd still in the hunt, a winner here at the Rock.
Now, how many places is that Earnhardt's moved up now?
He started back in 27th position, and he is running 11th, so survey says 16.
16, thank you.
You very much. What have we won, Gary Chapman?
That's amazing. Free tickets to Primetime Country.
Who do you got coming on this week? You know what the guest lineup is?
Oh, we've got a ton of folks. We've got Terry Clark is going to be
great Canadian singer.
She's going to be filling in for me on Wednesday. The Grammy Awards are Wednesday, and I'm going to go up to New York and play with those guys for a day.
Well, listen, it's great to see you here, and you sang the national anthem so well. People from every country stood up. I was impressed.
Thank you very much. I'm available for anthems anywhere if I get free tickets to one of these things. I want to be the Anthem Elvis. That's my goal.
The host of Primetime Country and one of the best singers going, gospel music and otherwise, Gary Chapman. Great to see you, man.
You too.
Take care of yourself. And tell Miss Amy we said hello. Gary Chapman joining us here in the booth at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. 176 laps on the board. You ride with Mark Martin. Let's reset the field for you. We're watching this Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace scramble. Elliott goes high. Rudd comes low. Can Bill get back in line?
They better do something pretty quick because that's Jarrett right behind him, ready to put all those guys a lap down.
There it is up high. Folks at Food Lion providing these aerial views of the Rock today. Lap 176. This race zipping right along. We've had just one caution if you're joining us along the way. Lap 46, Lake Speed spun off the number 2 corner, and that has been it thus far. It's clean and green otherwise.
Look at Jarrett now. He's trying to put Bill Elliott a lap down. He goes right on the outside and trying to make a pass on him.
Next target in the crosshairs will be Mark Martin. He's running in 12th.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
You know, the bad part, the crews right now are telling these guys, pick it up, pick it up. He's going to put you a lap down, and you're out there running, almost running over your tongue. You're trying so hard, and these guys, they're just at the mercy of the 88 car right now. Dale Jarrett is hooked up.
Hey, Glenn, is your brother going to let anybody else play today or what?
Well, he really doesn't want to, Eli. He really wants to get as many guys a lap down as possible. Mark Martin's problem is they have been fighting a loose condition since the green flag. He could only run about 5 laps before the car started showing loose. They have adjusted the track bar. They've adjusted bite. They're kind of scratching their heads right now. They just cannot get the car tightened up, hooked up to the racetrack. So he's in for a long afternoon if that continues. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett does indeed march on. He's having no problems, and they are not having to make any chassis adjustments since that very first one on the first pit stop. It was about a half a round to bite.
So Dale Jarrett now by 12.5 seconds puts Mark Martin a lap down. Only 11 teams still on the lead lap. And the Jarrett benefit continues here at the Rock. 180 laps are complete. You can smile. Go ahead. We are under caution. An apparent lost engine for Kenny Wallace makes the yellow flag appear. Pit stops for the leaders. Glenn?
And Dale Jarrett brings the Ford in again, Eli, and this is one thing he certainly did not want to see. The guys threw up their hands in dismay when the caution came out. They didn't think there was anything on the racetrack. NASCAR thought otherwise. 4-tire change again, and there will be no chassis adjustment again. We've got the clock on as quick as he gets down. Now let's go to the 25 and Matt Yoakum.
This pit stop is a welcome sight for Ricky Craven. He said the car had begun to pick up a vibration, but it had been neutral. He was pretty happy with that. So this gave them a good opportunity to check and see if it was a tire going down or whatever, or it could have been maybe that spring rubber that I asked Andy Graves about. He said that they had no idea it might have come out. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Matt, Ernie Irvin's in. I just talked to Doug Yates, Robert Yates' son. Doug works on the motors. They are not going to make any changes. Ernie Irvin said it got just a little bit loose at that last stop, but he did not want to make any changes, and he's gone.
So we have pit stops now. All the other lapped machines are coming down the pit lane, and there you see the crew tending to Kenny Wallace's machine to see if indeed it's an oil line or an engine that's gone sour. We're coming right back. Welcome back, everybody. Dale Jarrett has led all but 26 laps here today. Of course, last time here in the fall, he led 207 laps on the day, though he ended up second. Right now, time for an AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
NASCAR stock car racing has one of the best safety records in motorsports, and that's not by accident. That's because the competitors and the sanctioning body work together to address safety issues. One of the latest ideas to come out of that collaboration is this windshield bar. Not only does it support the windshield in the event that debris were to hit it at 180 miles an hour, it also braces the top of the roll cage in case the car gets upside down.
Ray Evernham will be along with us all season long with his tech facts and some crew chief chats. You take a look there at Ernie Irvin. He was third at the time of the pit stops, but he came out seventh, so he loses 4 positions. There you see how some of the other fellas managed to do. Rusty Wallace, who's not on that particular chart, he was 10th and has now come out in 5th. So he has picked up 5 positions in the exchange, and as the field gets the 1-to-go signal, was this ever a break? Not for Kenny Wallace, obviously, but how about for guys like Rusty and Dale Earnhardt, who are about to go a lap down?
Yeah, without that caution flag, they were in serious jeopardy of getting out of the lead lap, and that would have made it really tough. Now, Mark Martin is out of the lead lap, and you're going to see him at the front of the field, and he will be starting beside Dale Jarrett, going to try to get his lap back on the 7 of Jeff Bodine as well.
That phone number you see on the bottom of the screen is the one to call to get all the information you need about Opryland USA, the official destination of NASCAR. That operator is standing by Monday through Friday, so give them a call and hope to see you all at Opryland USA in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's get an update from pit road.
Well, a little bit of an update on Dale Earnhardt. The reason they held him on pit road, a right rear tire rolled across pit road, so they held him. He did say, "Ooh, what a big break this was for us." He said that the car was not to his liking. They dropped the track bar, gave him 4 fresh tires, and he went out. As far as Rusty Wallace goes, he went up 8 pounds on the right front tire. Both drivers are complaining, though, about a lot of rubber buildup in turns 1 and 2.
Green flag is in the air. We'll ride from high above on this restart.
You see Mark Martin, he's back in the lead lap on the tail end there. He got a better jump off the line there than the 88 car of Jarrett. So if he can just stay there and the caution was to come back out, he would be right back in the lead lap.
Same for Jeff Bodine in the number 7 QVC Ford. The 3rd car in your picture is the race leader, Dale Jarrett. Lap 191 of 393 on the board, so we're just 6 laps shy of halfway, and the $10,000 that goes to the Gatorade Front Runner Award winner. Driver participating in that contest, leading it halfway, takes home $10 grand. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Just an update, guys. The 88 crew knocked off a 19.1 second stop. Jeff Gordon, as I said, was fighting loose. They made a major track bar adjustment. Mark Martin went a lap down. They put 3 rounds of bite in the right rear. Ricky Rudd, keep an eye on Ricky Rudd. He's been in the top 10 all day. No changes. The car was a little loose the time before. They adjusted it. They say they're good to go.
Ricky Rudd, a winner here last fall. Though again, Dale Jarrett led 207 laps that day, but it was the pit stop decision, or the lack of a pit stop decision. You'll remember that won it for Ricky Rudd on that afternoon. They didn't have vintage pit stops, and he and Richard Broom said, all right, the heck with the pit stop, we'll stay out, and it won it for him. Look at that pack.
All that traffic and all a couple of guys need to get back in the hunt is to have something happen back here.
Word is Kenny Wallace done for the day, engine failure. Bobby Hillen out for the day, likewise. Loy Allen with ongoing clutch problems put him behind the wall this afternoon. So those are the 3 retirees. We have had a grand total of just 2 caution laps, or 2 caution periods, I should say. Lake Speed spinning off the corner at lap 46. Kenny Wallace losing an engine at lap 183. We have had 11 caution laps. Everything else has been green. We're now at lap 195.
It's pretty unusual. Last spring we had 10 caution periods for 66 laps, and the year before there were 11 of them. So having so few caution flags is unusual here at Rockingham.
We're also only 2 laps shy of halfway, too.
Yeah. Well, it's not over yet.
No.
I was just fixing to say, if they don't sort this out right here, that could be another one right there, because they're bumping and pushing and shoving going through the corners there.
Fresh tires. Everybody's eager now.
11 teams on the lead lap. Jarrett, Gordon, Jeff Burton, Craven, Rusty Wallace, Terry Labonte, Ricky Rudd, Morgan Shepherd, Jimmy Spencer, Ernie Irvin, Earnhardt. That's it. Those 11 on the lead lap. Right out of the screen there on the right of your picture is Ernie Irvin. He's going to be coming into the scene. There he is. Halfway. That's the battle for 7th spot you're looking at, Steve Burns.
Eli, we told you a little while ago, Ernie said, boy, don't touch the car. I can drive this thing anywhere. Well, after this last stop, he said that he is extremely tight. So that's a problem right now with Ernie Irvin.
Again, as we work here at halfway, MCI Telecommunications with the fastest lap by a leader. Still Mark Martin early at lap number 2. Well, Dale Jarrett now creeps up on that board. We'll keep you appraised of that as our afternoon continues. Lap 199, just passing halfway.
Ernie Irvin, 28 car. He's never won here before.
Morgan Shepherd there in the 1, just ahead of him. Also running on the lead lap. Some non-winners here. Dale Jarrett right there. Sterling Marlin hasn't won here. Craven hasn't won here. Schrader hasn't won here. Ernie Irvin hasn't won here in Winston Cup racing.
You know, Jeff Gordon just moved right up on Dale Jarrett just a second ago, but he's fighting with Bodine there, trying to get him a lap down, and Bodine fighting hard, and Gordon's really putting the press on.
Gordon trying to grab a piece of the lead. Jeff Bodine trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. Can't do it. Can't do it at all in the corner as the Yates power plant finally kicks in. Let's go to pit road.
Well, Eli, you're talking about Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon battling. Kind of an interesting little tale. His only top 10 finish here, Jeff Gordon, came in a win from the pole in 1995. That was the debut of the car Blacker, which has given Jeff Gordon 9 of his 20 Winston Cup wins. Well, Dale Jarrett brought a car here that he finished second in twice. To go up against Blacker, they named it Black and Decker. So a little bit of fun going on between the 88 and 24 crews.
Ernie Irvin inside of Rudd. That's 8th. Morgan Shepherd, we're riding with Morgan right now. He's in 7th. And remember, folks, Mark Martin is pulled away from the leader. Mark is on the tail end of the lead lap in 12th position now. And why don't we just stay with this battle here for position middle of the pack, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Lap 204.
He's looking on the inside there as they start down into turn 3. You can see he has a great deal of drive coming up out of the corner there.
Morgan's pretty crafty, but craftiness will only go so far against horsepower.
Yeah, that looked like about 15 horsepower there as they started out the corner. Look how far ahead now Ernie Irvin is over Morgan Shepherd.
There you've got the Ricky Craven and Jeff Burton machines battling for 3rd spot. Rusty Wallace in the mix. He's in 5th.
Craven has had great pit stops all day today. Andy Graves can take a bow for the good job his guys have done. They practiced twice this week, even though they had good pit stops at Daytona as well. Kid Graves is only 26 years old. He's crew chiefing his very first Winston Cup race today. No experience at this at all, but he's an expert chassis man. They say great things are expected.
Of course, Graves has been with Hendrick Motorsports since 1990. A lot of folks may not remember, but he was originally Jeff Gordon's roommate.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, they were roomies together.
And he was Gary Dehart's understudy, and I think we've got some answer now as to why that car is going so well.
There's the battle for the lead. About as close as anybody's been for a while. Just past halfway. Glad you're with us here on TNN Motorsports. From high above the rock, you see the Food Line aerial camera showing you Mark Martin going a lap down again. He had pulled away comfortably from the leaders, but now Jarrett and Jeff Gordon have just blown by the Valvoline machine to again put Mark Martin a lap down. So he will be just now one of many that have fallen behind the efforts of Dale Jarrett, and only 11 teams remain on the lead lap. Jeff Gordon's hanging with Dale Jarrett fairly well right now, Glenn.
Yeah, he is. You can see his crew chief, Ray Evernham. Ray said, I got to watch TV to see where Jeff's getting beat. Get a word with you, Ray. The car looks like it's a lot better this time. What did you do to it?
Well, we worked on it a little bit, but it's still not good enough. Your brother's whooping us pretty good. You know, I'm trying to watch TV, see where we're getting beat. They need to keep it on there so I can see where we're, you know, he's getting us a little bit more down at 3 and 4, I think, than he is in 1 and 2. So we got to work on it some more.
You see, Truck, I'm not the only one from the pits that tries to produce indirect.
What do they do when they talk about changing the truck arm, moving it up, moving it down, and how does that affect a race car, buddy?
Well, it's actually a track bar, and it's a bar that goes across and stabilizes the roll center, and when you raise it up, of course, that makes it turn a lot better. When you pull it down, of course, it tightens the car up. So they come down on Jeff Gordon. I notice he's changing his line. He's not able to stay right on the white line. He has to go up the center part of the corner. So he might have over-adjusted the car, and he's got a little bit of push now.
We're at lap 217. There is the race leader, Dale Jarrett. You know what's really strange today? Not having a Bud Moore car in the field. A lot of folks don't realize the significance of that. This is the first time since 1976 without a Bud Moore car here at the racetrack this weekend. At least they have tried to qualify in 626 consecutive races until this weekend. No sponsorship, and they just couldn't come up from Spartanburg to be here.
Yeah, he needs a sponsor. I'd love to see him come back. I drove for him for years, and I'll tell you, he's a quality man, quality race cars. I'd love to see him back in the sport.
Been at it for 36 years. You weren't the only one. Joe Weatherly, Darrell Daringer, Bobby Allison, Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, all drove for Bud Moore. 63 wins, 43 poles, 992 race entries. Without a sponsor, the team is finished.
Yeah, they had gone 603 races in a row that they had made until the Goodies 500 at Martinsville last year. And then just couldn't continue here this weekend. They don't plan to be at Richmond next week either. Then they'll see if they can regroup in time for Atlanta after that. But so very, very tough not seeing old Walter, Bud Moore, and Greg in the bunch here this weekend. Very much a noticeable absence.
Some other people we're thinking about for sure. Leroy Waltrip, Rick Hendrick, Kenny Weld, all home fighting cancer. We wish you all well and Godspeed to all three of them.
Also, Bob Chabalski, he's a member of the Master Control Engineering crew back at TNN in Nashville, Tennessee. He's under the weather, and we want to wish Bob a quick return to Master Control.
And also Chris Trickle was shot at a random shooting in Las Vegas. He's doing quite well. We understand. Chris, we need you back on the racetrack, pal.
Yeah, fine Southwest Tour regular, nephew of Dick Trickle, and it was touch and go there for a while. But yes, we are told he is doing a good bit better, so that is certainly good news. On the racetrack, Dale Jarrett's doing quite fine. He continues to lead. He's back into the corner with an advantage of 1 4/10 seconds over Jeff Gordon. We're coming right back. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Let's remind you that highway transportation is being provided by Winnebago Industries, the official motor home of TNN. Stop by your local Winnebago or Itasca dealer now and see the new models available. For more information on the Winnebago Motorsports team, please call 1-800-643-4892, extension 2. Commercial transportation for this broadcast has been provided by Ryder, the official transportation company of Opryland. Here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, we're watching Ernie Irvan, Rusty Wallace, then the lap machine of Robert Presley there, the 29. Rusty is in 6th, Ernie in 5th.
Presley said he actually cracked a bone in his back with that end-over-end at Daytona last week. The doctors have told him don't worry about that, so he's not. He's out here running with a broken back.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said, too. He said, hey, the doctors say it's okay. NASCAR says okay. It's fine with me. Here we go.
Here comes Terry Labonte. You see him in the 5 car there, coming by Robert Presley.
Terry on the lead lap in 7th spot. He has led better than 100 laps 6 times here at the Rock. He's been in 36 races here. Terry has led more than 100 laps in any of those races 6 times, including 198 of them a year ago in this race. 306 of them back in March of 1986. So this is a racetrack that Terry Labonte really takes kindly to.
Most important laps he's led, however, were in the fall of '83 when he led the last lap, and in the spring of '86 when he led the last lap.
Oh, Dick Trickle in turn number 2. The Heilig-Myers machine has brought out the caution. Caution for the 3rd time. Dick was running in 19th spot when he came sliding off the number 2 corner, and we are under caution for the 3rd time this afternoon. Comes out a little bit late for Mark Martin. Couldn't stay ahead of the race leader earlier to get his lap back. So this comes out just a bit tardy for him. So caution coming out at lap number 232 as Dick Trickle spins in turn number 2, but the Heilig-Myers car, as you saw, was able to continue away. And now it's pit stop time again. Only the teams on the lead lap able to make their stops. Jarrett is in, Gordon, Craven, and the rest all making their stops. Let's go down and get an update.
4 tires for both Rusty Wallace and Ricky Craven. Rusty Wallace has been complaining his car is tight. He's a bottom dweller, likes riding the bottom, but he's found it a little bit faster line up by the top, but there's still a lot of rubber up in 1 and 2. And Craven's down and away. No major adjustments to Ricky Craven.
Dale Jarrett's pit stop. These guys rattled off another great pit stop. 19 seconds flat, no chassis adjustments, 4 tires and fuel. He got back out first, I believe. Again, I couldn't see for the cars in front of me. Rick, yes, he did. And Ricky Rudd also took on 4 tires. I tell you, Dale Jarrett's been good all day, but Ricky Rudd still contends that they have a good race car, Eli.
And there you see Ernie Irvan making his stop. He is pitting on the back straightaway. We'll also have to update you on what might have gone there with Jeff Gordon's pit stop, because he came onto the racetrack, off the racetrack in 2nd spot, but did not have the very best of stops. Here's what happened to Dick Trickle now as we watch him going off into the corner with Bill Elliott to his inside.
You see the McDonald's car, Bill Elliott, as they start down in the corner, Bill loses control, slides up and tags him just a little bit on the left rear corner. Trickle's in bad shape right there, running along the wall. You can see cars coming at him, but he was very lucky. No contact from anybody as they go by on the low side there.
So with a little help, he goes around and brings out the caution. Now all the teams that are a lap or more down are on the pit lane for service. The 3rd caution of the day. We're at lap 233. Continuing under caution here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, so it's time for us to eavesdrop on a crew chief chat. Ray Evernham and Gary Dehart, brought to you by Peerless Faucets.
You know, in 1995, we won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. In 1996, we lost it, but we lost it to this guy here and his driver, Terry Labonte. The race that sticks in my mind was Phoenix, Gary. You crash your primary car, Terry breaks his hand, you come with a backup car, driver with a broken hand, and almost win the race.
Well, you was there. You know it. I tell you what, it was a luck thing. You know, we had a good backup car, right? You know that. And that was a key thing. Terry kept pumped up, and he wanted to run the car. So, you know, that was a key thing, getting him out there in a good car, and he done his thing. He had a good day.
Winning a championship, coming off a championship season, are you finding a lot more distractions early in this season more than last year?
Yeah, but you know what? They're pleasant distractions. You know, things that you know, when you do good things, you know, like win a championship, you know how it is. You know, it's good to stand here and say that, you know.
Well, I hope we can win it next year.
It's good to be distracted a little bit here and there, you know.
Can we win it again this year for Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. 1 and 2, right?
Can we be 1 this time?
Let's flip for you, okay?
Let's flip for
All
it.
right, I got a quarter right here. Right here. Here you go. Keep going.
Heads. Well, you're going to have to wait to find out.
That's right.
That's a crew chief chat brought to you by Peerless Faucets. Get more out of your faucet than just water. Well, pit stops, let's talk about it. Jeff Gordon went on to the pit lane second, came out fourth. Ernie Irvan, he went in the top handful, and he was going around fifth and eighth, and now settles himself in line in the fifth spot. Jeff Burton had himself a pit stop. Let's get all the updates. First to Steve Burns.
Eli, you just mentioned Jeff Burton. Hey, let's name some names here because that 99 bunch crushed a pit stop. Frank Stoddard and Tony Liberati, the tire changers, and the jackman Scott Dill. I mean, the guys were literally jumping up and down and high-fiving each other. They came in fifth, went out second. One other note about Jeff Burton. Buddy Parrott, boy, he's been working his magic from the top of the pit box. He had told Jeff Burton, just ride, take it easy. You guys mentioned at the top of the show, tire management was a key, and he had been taking care of his tires. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thank you, Steve. Adjustments continue on Jeff Gordon's car. One reason why they were a little longer in the pits there, they put a couple rounds of bite in it, 4 tires also. Ricky Rudd made a slight air pressure adjustment. They still say they're good. The 88 crew, as I said, made no adjustments, but Todd Parrott said the only adjustments we made were 4 tires, and we gave the driver a drink of water.
There you see Morgan Shepherd. Look at the right front of his automobile.
Yeah, he's made contact with someone. He's run great all day, but that won't help him as far as aerodynamics down the straightaway here.
So we continue under the caution. Track cleanup winding down. Lap 238 on the board of 393. Working the third caution of the GM Goodwrench Service 400. Welcome back, everybody. The North Carolina Motor Speedway. As we continue, you see the cleanup rig there on the low side of turn number 1 as NASCAR just finishes doing some cleanup off in the corner. That's where the original contact began, and Dick Trickle then spun off the turn, and they're just making sure that there's no small little pieces of debris out there. Ricky Craven having a super run. 3rd here last year, 3rd at Daytona. He's running 3rd right now. Jarrett is the leader. Burton is 2nd. That's Jeff Burton. Ricky Craven is 3rd. Jeff Gordon is 4th. Ernie Irvan now being shown in the 5th spot. 6 goes to Terry Labonte. Rusty Wallace is 7th. Ricky Rudd is 8th. Dale Earnhardt 9th. Jimmy Spencer being shown in 10th. And Morgan Shepherd is in 11th. Those 11 cars are being shown on the lead lap. Meanwhile, a lot of big old smiles down there in the Budweiser pit. They have just been ripping off some magnificent pit stops today. Let's see what Andy Graves has to say for himself.
Well, Andy, another great stop. What's Ricky saying about the car? Is there still a vibration?
Yeah, we've got a little vibration in the right front. He thinks it's brakes, and it's not really getting any worse right now, so we're just going to try to ride it out and get a good finish for Budweiser.
You got about 150 laps to go. What's going to be the strategy to take you to victory lane?
Well, right now we're just trying to get a good finish out of this thing, and the car's just a little bit tight right now on that last set of tires. That was the first time that happened all day, so maybe if we can get that out and just get the car freed up a little bit, might give it a run.
Well, Rusty Wallace also said that his car is tightening up a little bit. He and Dale Earnhardt look for them to go a little bit higher to free the car up. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Matt. The leaders guys pitted on lap 232. Let's do a little speculating here. If they go approximately 70 laps green, if this thing would go green the rest of the way, then we're up to around lap 302, around 305 that they would pit again. That would mean that they would have some 90 laps left to try to make it under green. They can go that far on fuel, but nobody's gone that far on tires today. So if this thing should go green from here on out, you should see some guys really trying to save some tires. Only problem is they don't know if that's going to happen, but fun to speculate about it.
It is something to talk about, and I dare say we'll continue. There are the fellas in the garage area already packed up and heading on home. Loy Allen, Bobby Hillen, and Kenny Wallace. Everybody else of the 43 starters still on the racetrack. Track cleanup continues, so we will break away and take care of some business. We are at lap 242 of 393 live on TNN. Just now back under green here at the Rock. And again, as we saw earlier, Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin unlapping themselves. They get around the race leader, Dale Jarrett. Though if things continue according to Hoyle, in about 14 laps from now, Jarrett will re-lap them one more time. That's been the scenario that we've been seeing over the last short while.
Eli, what happens there is I think Jarrett's car is handling so well, but when you put new tires on, a car that may be a little bit loose will run faster up off the corner. When the tires get a little bit slick and worn down, then the chassis gives up on the looser cars and Jarrett's car comes to the forefront.
Give you another theory, too. Those two guys out in front that are playing rabbit, they have really got to get back on the lead lap, and they may just be running a bit harder. Jarrett, meanwhile, has no reason to run as hard as that car can possibly go. He's smart by conserving his tires. So both Jeff Bodine and the 6 of Mark Martin, they're just trying to get back on their lead lap.
Watch how smart he gets in 15 laps.
Unless a caution comes. See, they've got to get the caution for that to work. If there's no caution, you're right, buddy. They're going right to the back of the pack.
You also saw Dick Trickle on the racetrack. He did not go to the garage after the spin. He's running in 21st spot. Glenn Jarrett.
Guys, I can add to that. The 6 car and the 7 car traditionally have been a little loose all day. And when you put fresh tires on a race car that's set up just a little bit loose, it will haul tail for about 15 or 20 laps like we've been seeing. Then as that rubber advantage goes away, or the rubber starts to wear down on the tires, they go back to the rest of the field catches up to them. But a loose race car on fresh tires will run like that. They've proven it so far.
Well, a little problem, maybe an overheating problem there for Jimmy Spencer. You see him venting some fluid out of the right rear. He and Dale Earnhardt battling for 9th and 10th, but there you see it, the telltale fluid coming out of what would normally be the overflow area on the race car.
Yeah, and that's normally a problem that don't get better. It gets worse by time. And when you quit seeing water, all of a sudden he's out of it, and he'll have to come into pits if it is a heating problem like that.
Well, that'd be a heartbreaker for him, wouldn't it? Running with Earnhardt there in 9th and 10th spot. Mike Skinner there just ahead of the in-car camera. Skinner not a factor today, a couple of laps down, running in 28th position as you ride with Morgan Shepherd.
The car that's really flying right now is the 24 Jeff Gordon. Whatever they adjusted on that car on the last pit stop, that car is absolutely flying at this point of the race, and you can see he's right on the white line coming through the corner, and he has caught Jeff Burton and trying to put him down right now.
Burton is in 2nd spot, and here goes Gordon sneaking a peek to the inside. What are they saying, Steve, in the Burton pits?
I didn't hear you the question, but if you're talking about the 99 car, Buddy Parrott told Jeff Burton, hey, go ahead and try and pass Mark Martin now, get your 5 bonus points while you're quicker. So they think they have the quicker car right now, but boy, it's going to be tough getting around that 88.
It is going to be tough getting around the 88. Of course, Mark Martin on the tail end of the lead lap at this stage of the afternoon, running in 13th spot. Jeff Bodine also on the tail end of the lead lap in 12th.
Burton Martin's just having a great run here this afternoon. He was 5th here last fall, 5th the fall before that, 1995. What a nice run today. Nice and smooth and easy, smart race. And what an advantage to have Buddy Parrott in the pits guiding this young man along.
That team has really matured because remember last year they had a decent run, and all of a sudden they missed the Atlanta race. And then came right back, and they were factors the rest of the way again. So it's a learning process. Nothing can replace seat time.
Well, let me tell you what, Buddy Parrott with 44 wins can help a guy an awful lot, a fellow who hasn't run a lot. And Burton has only run here at Rockingham 6 times in the Winston Cup Series.
I believe Jimmy Spencer now having some problems. He is pulling over just a tad, letting some of the machines go by him, you see. We saw the overheating, Steve Burns. Is he running out of water?
That's exactly right, Eli. We heard Jimmy and Donnie Wingo talking. Jimmy is going to come in as soon as he can. He is flat out of water. They will have to pit and add some.
Guys, also Dale Earnhardt was really hollering at his crew on the radio to tell NASCAR to get the 23 off the track. He was watering it up pretty good in front of Dale, and just as as we were ready to report on it, Jimmy pulled over. I saw a big white puff of smoke come out of it. That ain't good.
Lap 256, Jimmy Spencer going down the back pit area to the attention of the crew. We'll keep you updated there as his situation continues.
You see Dale Jarrett looking on the outside of Mark Martin. It's been just about the time that we were talking about, 12 to 15 laps. You can see he's all over Mark Martin.
And that's to put him a lap down, remember, if you're just tuning in. This is not for the lead, but indeed to put Mark Martin back 1 lap in arrears. Passing start finish into turn number 1. Oh, Mark's giving him a battle, but it's over now.
Well, when they hit the straightaway, that outside groove, you're running much quicker on the outside groove coming off the corner. You can see the drive he had going by Mark.
And that was the switch around there for second spot.
The word bonsai fits, doesn't it?
That would have been easier than saying swap and switch at the same time. I promise you that. That was the change for second spot. And here's 8th place on your screen right now. Who's got it? Give Ricky Rudd the spot ahead of Terry Labonte. Jimmy Spencer's back on the track.
That won't last long, though. I mean, that just doesn't fix it, putting more water in it. There's a reason that water got pumped out. Usually it's a head gasket or a cracked cylinder head or a cracked block. Something's wrong, seriously wrong with the engine when you see water pouring out like that.
David Green having problems out of turn number 4. He noses towards the inside wall, and caution is on the speedway. David Green coming off the number 4 corner back to the stripe. Jeff Bodine will get his lap back, but Mark Martin does not. Mark is beaten back to the stripe by about that car length that you saw a while ago, but David Green has problems out of the number 4 corner, and now we are under caution, as you see, for the 4th time today. Too bad, too, after missing Daytona. They got a good, solid qualifying effort here this weekend, starting in 14th spot in the Caterpillar Chevrolet. He's had 10 Busch Series races here, David has, with 3 top 5 finishes.
Eli, there's some huge black marks in turn 4 up here where David Green got up against the wall, so he really walloped the wall. You can see the damage on the right front corner.
There are the marks that Buddy is telling you about. They come from the high side of the racetrack to where Green went across the track towards the inside pit wall. Why don't we break away? Caution, 4th time today, lap number 262. That is the number of the race leader, the driver, Dale Jarrett. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Peerless Faucets. Get more out of your faucet than just water. There you see David Green's Caterpillar machine sitting up against the inside pit wall, and here's what happened.
Wow, you could see the car just veer right straight up into the wall as he was right in the middle of turn 4. Now he comes across the racetrack. He was very lucky to get that thing woed before it got into the inside wall.
Hard on those binders. Oh, man. Missed it by that much.
Yeah, he did.
Lucky man.
said yesterday his goal was to be running at the finish and run all the laps he possibly could. He is a rookie in this division, even though he is a champion in Busch Grand National.
And there you see the other rookies and how they are faring here this afternoon. Mike Skinner, Robbie Gordon being shown in 35th position. And track cleanup will continue. We're at lap 263 right now of 393. There have been no pit stops here anywhere because the main pit road was partially blocked by where Green's car came to a stop. So NASCAR still has the red flag being shown at the head end of the pit lane. And obviously when the front pits are closed, they will not open the back pits. You can't give anyone an advantage there. So you have missed no stops whatsoever. Been an interesting race thus far today, but boy, Jarrett's awfully stout.
Oh, he is so strong. Incredible performance here this afternoon. They've just got everything together, don't they? They've had great pit stops. The chassis has been spectacular. He's got a lot of power, and Jarrett has made no mistakes whatsoever. And that is what it takes to win in this division.
And, you know, Todd Parrott is a fine crew chief. Nobody is going to question his abilities. But I was always wondering in the back of my mind what the loss of Larry McReynolds would mean, not only to the 28 bunch, obviously, but to Todd Parrott and the 88 team, because there was an organizational ability, if you will, that Larry brought to the mix. They're not missing him at all today. Now the pit road is open, and here come the leaders. They'll make their stops at lap 265. Steve Burns.
Eli, Jeff Burton brings the car in. I said moments ago that Buddy Parrott had encouraged Jeff to go ahead and try and pass Dale Jarrett. Well, now, as they come around to change the left side, their strategy has changed. They will make no changes to this car with the exception of 4 tires. Jeff Burton has said this car is perfect for a long run. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Dale Jarrett's already down and away, and my goodness, that time it was 18.59 seconds. They have had incredibly good pit stops here today.
Other stops among the race leaders. You see them all bringing themselves back out onto the racetrack. Only those on the lead lap can pit the first time around. On the back pit, Ernie Irvan. You see the Bell South crew. That's Joe Nemechek's bunch. They're just pitting right next door, and they're looking on as Mark Reno and the guys make their stops. How about the Ricky Craven stop, Matt?
Oh, Andy Graves and the Bud crew gave Craven a stellar stop. He said that the car was still pretty tight. What they did was take a half a round of wedge out and fiddled with the air pressure a little bit, but they didn't want to go a little too far.
There's Robert Presley's group going to work. That's the Diamond Ridge Motorsports entry. Bill Engel, a team manager for Diamond Ridge Motorsports. Had a good run again yesterday with Elliott Sadler.
Oh, Elliott Sadler was so impressive yesterday. Young guy, new guy on the circuit. Really, he's only got a few races under his belt, but gee, he gave that car a great run yesterday.
Good kid, too. Had a great speed weeks down in Daytona. So pit stops taking place. That's at lap 266. So obviously pit stops is still going to be a factor as this race heads towards a conclusion. They'll come in again. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting set to go back to green here at the Rock. Lap 269 going up on the board of 393. Pit stops being completed. Jimmy Spencer on the pit lane moments ago on the backstretch with the overheating problem continuing. Green is in the air from Doyle Ford. Here we go again. Jarrett and Jeff Gordon this time with no worries from Jeff Bodine, who was back on the lead lap, and Mark Martin, who couldn't get in position to jump that time. Ernie Irvan lost a couple of positions on that back straightaway pit again, coming in 5th, coming out 7th. That's where he is. If you're a Bill Elliott fan, we had talked about him earlier. He is now backslid to 20th position. He is a lap down. And we had talked so much about Bill Elliott, but he is now back in 20th spot.
And Dale Jarrett, once again, back in the lead. You know, yesterday in that Grand National race, he blistered his left hand. I wonder how that must feel today.
Folks at MCI sponsoring NASCAR timing and scoring and helping you stay updated on all that's happening on the racetrack as you see the crawl across the top of the screen. MCI, the official telecommunications company of NASCAR. 99, Jeff Burton. 25, Craven. 2, Rusty Wallace. And you've got the lapped machine of Ted Musgrave. He's next in line there. Ted's being shown in 15th spot. But the other guys battling for position.
answering the question you just said a while ago about a blistered hand, there is no pain while leading.
And that from a man who knows. He has run many, many races and won a ton of them. Glenn Jarrett's moved on down to the Jeff Gordon pit. What's they got to say?
Well, as earlier, Eli, the adjustments continue on Jeff's car. That time, in addition to the 4 tires and fuel, they put some tape across the very bottom of the front of the car. I asked Ray Evernham, I said, tape on the grill? I thought it was already loose. He said, yeah, but loose ain't fast. We got to do something to make him catch the 88. They have done everything they know to do. They're throwing everything at it. It seems that each time that they get that car just a little bit better than it was before.
There's 6th place now between Ernie Irvan and Ricky Rudd. Rudd's got it. Can he hang on?
Eli, he's just coming back to a position he was at before he made the pit stop.
Exactly.
He's passing some cars back that he was already in front of. Every time he stops, he loses 2 or 3 spots on the back straightaway.
In the garage, Loy Allen, Bobby Hillen, Kenny Wallace, and David Green. Jimmy Spencer now also being shown out of the race officially. So the Smokin' Joe's Camel machine is gone, and there's problems for Greg Sachs. Caution on the Speedway. Caution. Who ordered the burgers? Well done.
Oh.
They're ready. The Hardee's machine brings out caution. Greg Sachs apparently losing an engine at lap number 276. So this caution coming out just 14 laps after the David Green problems.
Well, that's Greg Sachs in the Harry Ranier car, and they told me this morning that Hardee's is on board for the rest of the year. So that's good news for Greg Sachs.
Really is great news for that crew, and there goes Greg to the garage area. So he will join Loy Allen, Bobby Hillen, Kenny Wallace, David Green, Jimmy Spencer, and now Greg Sachs as the retirees here at Rockingham.
Boy, Sachs has had tough luck here. That's his 4th DNF in a row at Rockingham. Oil pump, 2 crashes, and now a motor.
Good to see old Greg back on the circuit, though, from Mattatuck, Long Island. Pit stops. Dale Earnhardt's in. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Dale Earnhardt is in for 4 tires. He's going to take 1 round out of the left rear and adjust with the air pressure. He said the car is still not to his liking. Eli?
Meanwhile, Terry Labonte is in. Jeff Bodine is back in. Ricky Rudd is back in now. Glenn, what's going on down there?
Eli, he just came in to get the grill cleaned off. The car was running just a little bit of water temperature, and they came in and just simply cleaned the nose of the car. No adjustments. Jeff Bodine is in right now, changing. He got back to the lead lap. He's putting fresh rubber on and making a chassis adjustment as well. So I think these guys are just doing a little bit of house cleaning. This gave them an opportunity to do some things that they didn't get to do a while ago.
And when you've only got 11 cars on the lead lap, yes, you're giving up some track position, but it's not devastating when you go from 8th to 11th. Hence, they make the extra stops. There's a look at the Rock. We're coming right back.
Brought to you by Gladiator and Universal Luxury Vans, the official vans of tracks, teams, and drivers throughout the NASCAR world. Call 1-800-445-2825 for a dealer near you.
Set to go back to green here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, Rockingham, North Carolina. Green flag is in the air. Jarrett, Gordon, Burton, Craven, Wallace. That's the front 5 pulling away. Then Ernie Irvan, Morgan Shepherd, and then the fellows who made pit stops.
Wow, we've just almost had a wreck getting into turn 1 then. Bobby Labonte got on the flat part of the racetrack and nearly tagged the 24 car Jeff Gordon.
Riding with Jeff Burton now. Sun-drenched crowd on a beautiful afternoon here in Rockingham. Rick Mast inside of Mark Martin. Rick is running in 20th, Mark for 21st, so that is a battle for position, though not on the lead lap. Ricky Rudd is battling with Earnhardt for position. Lake Speed in the number 9. He is not on the lead lap, but he is right there in the mix among those fellas.
2 good hard-nosed race car drivers there. Ricky Rudd takes no quarters. I guarantee you he fights for every position out there.
There's been a lot of black tire marks on doors when these 2 guys get together.
They were the winners here last year in their 2 races. Earnhardt in the spring, Rudd last fall.
Riding with Rick Mast now.
Whoa! Hut Strickland in the wall.
Did a very nice job of getting that car off the wall. I don't see a caution coming out at all because he got it right back straight again.
We stay under green.
Nice job of camera work, too. Good spotting up there. Oh, he's in trouble.
Yeah, got the right rear tire rub, if nothing else. Here's another look at it.
You can see he just started across the racetrack there, lost control of the car getting in the corner, and just started right up towards the wall.
And you notice who he cut in front of again?
Yeah.
Mike Skinner, who over the last couple weeks now has probably missed 5 incidents by that much. Hut is in now to the attention of Richard Broom and Felipe Lopez in the bunch. Meanwhile, up front, that is the battle for the lead.
Eli, you were talking just a while ago. He's been whittling the 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Every time they stop, they make another adjustment to that car. He's getting closer and closer to being able to hold on to Jarrett.
Remember, this is Blacker. That number 24 is Blacker. You heard early in the broadcast how well that car has run, how many races it's won. One of their best ever, perhaps their very best ever.
Meanwhile, that's 3rd, 4th, and 5th on your screen right now. Bobby Labonte is not in the mix. He is running 13th in that 18 car. But he's not holding those fellas up at all. Seven laps now, 106 remaining. Nobody making a move for the time being. We've had 5 cautions. Roy Allen's in the garage. So is Bobby Hillin, Kenny Wallace, David Green, Jimmy Spencer, and Greg Sachs.
These 3 cars are so evenly matched. They go down. They're trying to get by Bobby Labonte right now, but as you said, they're not holding him up. The problem right now is the outside groove, I think, Ernie Irvin is a little bit quicker, but he's trying to pass on the inside, and Ricky Craven's very strong on the outside of the racetrack.
He's run upstairs all day today. Craven runs upstairs whether it's a Grand National race or a Winston Cup race. That is his groove here at Rockingham.
Hey, if it works.
What a comment, outside the racetrack. I meant the high groove, folks.
Irvin's running really aggressively. Down to the bottom now, he got it done.
And we're riding with Morgan Shepherd, who is on the lead lap. He's in 6th. Towards turn number 1.
That little bit of nose damage on Morgan Shepherd's car does not seem to be hurting it a bit. You see him running in the draft there, and as long as he can stay tucked up behind these other cars, that nose will not bother the aerodynamics of the cars when he's out by himself.
Under 3 to go. They're going to have to take at least one more pit stop, no matter what.
Trying to dispose of the lap machine of Bobby Labonte now. Craven, Irvin, Jeff Burton, and Morgan Shepherd. Elsewhere on the racetrack, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte. The 7, 10, and 5 are all on the lead lap. They're in 9th, 10th, and 11th spot. Mark Martin is a lap down in 16th.
Speaking of running high, you see how high Rudd is running this racetrack. He's going way up there.
Of course, you can keep that power plant wound up some and use that slingshot, if you will, using that term, off the banking to help you. We got Ernie Irvin still battling there with Ricky Craven.
Got by him. He made the move on the inside and drove right by Ricky Craven for position.
They go around Hut Strickland, so move Ernie now up to 3rd. Craven is 4th.
Gotta wonder where Ernie Irvin would be running had he been pitting on the front straightaway.
Through the corner. There Everybody holding their position. Matt Yoakum looks on from the Budweiser pit.
Well, guys, what Ricky Craven is doing is two things. A, his car is still tight. He's moved up and found that line that Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt were using. Two, he's trying to manage those tires to hold his position until they get that final pit stop for that good rubber for the last run.
There is the 7th place battle as we're inside the final 100 laps of the day. Race leader today, Mark Martin led the first 12 laps. Dale Jarrett led from lap 13 to 46. Mark Martin then led from 47 to 56. Dale Jarrett led from lap 57 through 126. Then Ernie Irvin led for a couple of laps. David Green for one. And then since then, it has been Dale Jarrett. Caution on the Speedway, Mike Skinner. Problems coming out of the number 4 corner. There is the Lowe's machine, the Chevrolet, with problems off the turn. Caution on the Speedway at lap number 297. Caution for the 6th time. So Dale Jarrett continues as the race leader under a yellow. And now we're 96 laps from conclusion, guys.
Wow.
You can do it on fuel.
Yep. Great poker players will be found out right now.
Can you do it on tires?
We'll all find out together. Let's take a look at what happened to Mike Skinner first off. As he had problems, he was running back a couple of laps down.
Oh, he got a little assistance there.
I believe.
Whoa, look how close they come to making contact there.
Looked like Hut Strickland might have given him a little help there coming off the corner.
Skinner was very lucky not to hit the pit wall as he come down there. The outside pit wall just about got him.
Pit stops. Lap 299. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Well, this is exactly what Ricky Craven needed, a chance to get 4 fresh tires. What they're going to do is take 1 round of wedge out. He's still tight. A little further up pit road, Rusty Wallace, his car, he's going to take 1 pound out of the right front tire and lower the track bar a 1/4 inch. He's still tight, too.
And once again, 4 tire change, no adjustments on Dale Jarrett's Ford. A little bit of trouble this time, a little bit slow, and he stalled the car. 19.81 seconds. He's barely going to beat Jeff Burton out. I don't know about Gordon.
Yeah, you just talked about Jeff Burton, Glenn. Buddy Parrott, this crew have really crushed some pit stops. They're really excited. They made no changes. You may have noticed that their car went backwards a little bit during that last pit stop, between stops rather. They are much better on a long run, so they're pretty encouraged.
So pit stops taking place on the front and the back pits. Now the teams that are more than a lap down will be coming into the attention of their crews. We're getting down to it here at the Rock. Our friends at Food Lion, the official supermarket of NASCAR, bringing us the aerial cameras here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. And folks, a quick reminder that TNN Motorsports' first video game is on the way to you. It's called Hardcore 4x4 for the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn systems. If you're a racer and you like games, check out TNN Motorsports Hardcore 4x4. Tell you, this game gets so real, you're going to have to scrape the mud off your TV set. It is that real. Watch what happens now. Pit stops by inches. Jarrett over Burton. On the back pits, watch this. Watch Robbie Gordon come out. Tags the tire. Pardon me, Bill. In front of Elliott. Elliott has to veer and get around him, and Gordon beats him off the pit lane. Always something happening around the racetrack, and we are going green. Make a note of this, too. Lap 301, Ricky Rudd just came in to top off the fuel tank. Nobody else came in since lap 299. Ricky's in at 301. Let's see if those 2 laps may be making a difference down the stretch.
You can see Mark Martin did not get the jump on Jarrett as they started off that time. This is getting down to the nitty-gritty, but look at Martin fight back on the inside, trying to get back in the lead lap.
Yeah, and look at Burton on the low side, too.
They work off the turn. Burton to lead. By inches, he's got it. Burton picks up 5 bonus points. He leads that lap, says Morris Metcalf, the chief of NASCAR timing and scoring. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett on the pit lane.
Well, I checked with Todd Parrott, Eli, to see if they could make it all the way on gas. He shook his head. Yes, they can. I think everybody down here can. Rudd's only chance was to top off. He hasn't been able to run with the lead cars, although he stayed in the lead lap. But Dale Jarrett has retaken the lead now. But I think everybody down here to a man can make it on fuel. They've really got to conserve tire wear, though. Nobody has gone that long today on tires.
You saw a good run there for the number 7, Jeff Bodine. He was 9th. Came out of the pit lane 5th, so he really picks up some positions on that last stop. How about on the Jeff Burton scene? What are they saying?
Eli, they can definitely go all the way on gas. As Glenn said, tires will be the big issue. And I don't know if anybody's pointed out, but we've got a father-son showdown right now in terms of crew chiefs.
Indeed, you've got Todd Parrott and Buddy Parrott. Todd is the crew chief for the Dale Jarrett team, and Buddy Parrott, the veteran, for Jeff Burton. As you see, the good run also for Ricky Craven with his new crew chief, Andy Graves. Matt?
Eli, talked to Andy Graves. He said no problem on going all the way on fuel. And the 2 bunch of Rusty Wallace says they're fine on gas. Their big problem is tires. They just hope that they can manage them to the end.
Buddy Baker, you were telling me before about Buddy Parrott. We've all known him for years, but how good he is with young race drivers like a Jeff Burton or relative newcomers. What makes him so special with a young driver?
The thing that makes him so special is he worked for Harry Hyde for years and really studied. And this guy was 10 years ahead of himself, Harry Hyde was. Buddy Parrott learned everything he possibly could before he took a crew chief's job. And he's also one of the best tire changers in the whole business.
He really is that. Let's take a look at what happened to Jeff Bodine seconds ago. He had a close call. He's right there. Car wiggled on him a bit much.
Yeah, right up the hill he went, but he hung on to her. Interesting story on Bodine. He is revamping his engine program using Bob Glidden, the drag racer. At least they're trying to.
And Billy, his son.
His son is here today for the first time in an unrestricted plate race. They're trying to get a deal together, so Glidden will be working with Jeff Bodine. He did inherit an engine shop when he bought the team from the late Alan Kulwicki's relatives. He said he really wouldn't like to do that. He would have preferred to have rented engines, but as long as he's got it, they may as well be the best possible engines.
His 31st race at Rockingham for Jeff Bodine. There's Dale Earnhardt. He's laboring in 7th spot right now.
Eli, I went down and talked to some of the engine guys that work on these race cars and got the gear ratio, which was a 430, and they turned these engines 8,700 RPMs.
Oh. My goodness, of course, a lot of guys do change things. Ward Burton, for instance, he's learned a lot from Mark Martin and Steve Meal over the years, and Ward pulls the lower gear 8,900 to 9,200 RPM.
That's asking for it.
But the man's won here, too.
Exactly.
So who's to say what's right and wrong?
Well, you have to remember now, that's on fresh tires. When they get on worn tires, that gear that you're talking about would work very well because you're not running through the corners quite as quick.
He really attacks this racetrack. That's Ward Burton's driving style. There's Dale Earnhardt again. Remember that streak we talked about when we signed on the air back at 12:30 today, and even with our pre-race show, 28 races in a row now that Dale Earnhardt has failed to go to victory lane, dating back to the race at Atlanta last March. So it's darn close to a full calendar year, and he's right now in 7th within shouting distance. Meanwhile, there's Ernie Irvan working to the inside of a lap machine of Ted Musgrave. Let's get something more on the Ernie Irvan team.
Well, guys, let's look at how critical that pit stop or that caution flag was to Ernie Irvan. Remember how good he was on the racetrack right before that caution came out? He had moved up to 3rd and appeared to be closing in on the leaders. And that caution came out. He pitted on the backstretch. Now he is in 9th position, mired in heavy traffic. The leaders are pulling away from him. That was the worst thing could have happened to Ernie Irvan.
There he goes, motoring to the outside of Bobby Labonte. Caught in behind Kenny Schrader.
Boy, he's played catch-up all day today. Well, as we were talking, Eli, the 88 car of Dale Jarrett went back by Mark Martin. Mark cannot hold him off. Jarrett is just too strong.
Working back now, you'll see how everybody is shaping up on the racetrack. Rusty Wallace there with Earnhardt and Terry Labonte. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th. 78 laps remaining, and the race leader heads him up into turn number 3. What's going to happen? We'll find out soon enough. It's back better than ever. NASCAR Online at the computer address you see, www.nascar.com. It's your 24-hour NASCAR Garage Pass. Everything you'd like to know about the world of NASCAR available online at NASCAR Online. Jeff Gordon, you see him there just ahead of Jeff Burton while you were gone on the commercial break. They swapped the spots around for 2nd and 3rd behind Dale Jarrett. Did you use the brake pedal extensively at this racetrack, buddy? And the reason I ask, watch Ernie Irvan now. Really uses the brake a lot. There he battles Earnhardt. And watch the smoke. Right there.
Boy, I'm telling you, that's really laying down on that brake pedal, but you have to remember the brakes are far superior to the ones 4 or 5 years back.
Were you hard on the brakes? Was this a racetrack that mandated that when you were driving?
Well, the tires didn't stick good enough to worry about that. I just take it down there and dump it off in the corner and stand back in the throttle.
They have Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte battling. That is the 6th and 7th place battle on the racetrack, and give it to Mr. Labonte there with Rusty Wallace battling him. Lap 322 of 393, just 71 remaining.
Is it just me, or is the level of intensity getting picked up here as this race gets closer to the end?
It's getting picked up. It has to be, certainly at this stage. I'll tell you that one caution that came out earlier today at lap 183 when Kenny Wallace lost an engine. If not for that, it could have been a 1 or 2 cars on the lead lap by now. That was a big saving grace for a lot of fellas.
Well, Earnhardt picked the pace up, but so is Jeff Gordon. He looks to be pulling down on Dale Jarrett. He is closing the gap down on him. Now, whether Jarrett's just riding along, maybe taking care of his tires at this moment, or whatever, the 24 is really coming on to Jeff Gordon.
There you've got Morgan Shepherd in the white number 1, trailing Ricky Rudd there, the orange number 10 on the right of your screen. That's 10th and 11th spot. Also, Ernie Irvan and Rusty Wallace heating up now. That's for 7th spot. Ernie would love to take it away. And he will motor by at the line. So at least for that time around, give Ernie Irvan 7th and Rusty back to 8th.
Dick, as you said, they have picked up the intensity, but looked like Ernie Irvan just got a rocket ship down the straightaway. You can see him get off the corner a little bit better than Rusty Wallace.
But as well as those fellas are running, Ernie Irvan with his rocket ship and Rusty Wallace, who runs so well here, they are 7 seconds behind the space shuttle Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, he's out there by himself. He's absolutely concerned by nobody at the moment, except I'm sure he's looking in that mirror, and that 24 might be growing just a little bit.
It's the strongest run he's ever had in Winston Cup. Jarrett has just been super tough all day long. So smooth.
And he ran and led 207 laps in the last race here, that man did. Right now he has led virtually all by about 30 laps or so. There's the relationship from 1st place back to 2nd, Gordon. 3rd place, Burton. Those are the 3 machines on the screen right there.
You know how far that is? One little slide in turn 3, and they would be bumper to bumper on each other.
And there you see Craven there, the red machine. He's the next car back. And the lapped car of Mark Martin, who is being shown in 12th, the lap down. So the man who is leading is Dale Jarrett. The man who is chasing him is a guy who knows what winning is all about. That's Jeff Gordon. And he is just a bit over a second behind. We're breaking away and coming right back. There'll be just 60 laps to go when we rejoin you. Jeff Gordon thinks he can get there. Back with you. Caution is on the Speedway. That is Robert Presley, who for the second time in as many weeks has taken a hard lick into the wall. And now, all of a sudden, it is new tire time, and let's go racing to the finish. Robert Presley, you see him taking down the safety net. He is okay. But he had problems going up into the number 1 corner.
Rolling.
Caution is on the Speedway.
No, it's not rolling.
You hear the spotter talking down to the pits as we eavesdrop on the Cartoon Network.
11 car. Michael made it 3 wide, the 11 car.
You hear the explanation there from somebody that Michael Waltrip, and then the 11, Brett Bodine, made it 3 wide.
You know, I was worried about Robert Presley because earlier in the show, Dick was talking about he had hurt his back, and that shot there certainly didn't help anybody with a broken back.
Didn't hurt it too bad. He spent the week on a bulldozer moving rocks.
Leaders, though, are on the pit lane now for the final stop. First to Steve Burns.
Jeff Burton's in. We heard Jeff Burton say that he did not want to make any changes. He said, just give me the best set of tires we got. He's down. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, likewise, Steve Burns, Dale Jarrett's crew saved the best set and the best pit stop. That's the best one they've had today. They did make a very slight chassis adjustment to the left rear, but it was truly a bad break for Robert Presley. I've been clocking him. He had one of the quicker cars on the racetrack. He just had gotten a lap down early, but things appear to be okay for the 88. We're going to check on Jeff Gordon and see exactly what they did in their continuing efforts to try to catch the 88.
So caution is on the Speedway. Let's go back and take a look again at what transpired there with the in-car cameras, and we'll take a look at it full speed ahead now and see exactly what transpired from the in-car look. Looking back from Rick Mast's machine towards Robert Presley. And again, you just heard the spotters talking about it was 3 wide. Indeed, it was. Now everybody who is not on the lead lap is in for their service as we continue under caution for the 7th time today. We're live at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. The lap's winding down. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 is brought to you by your GM Goodwrench Service dealer. We want your business. Welcome back, everybody. Let's see how pit stops took place. Still first and first prior to and after the stop. There's Ernie Irvin from 3rd back to 10th. Buddy made a great comment, folks, during the break. He said that boy's passed about 3,000 cars out there today, and he really has. But unfortunately, he's in 10th spot right now. Field will get the 1-to-go signal when they come back to the stripe. Let's go to pit road. First to Matt.
Well, an update on the Ernie Irvin situation. You know, they came in 5th, and then they went out 10th. They played with the air temperature a little bit, but he's back out with 4 fresh tires. An update on Ricky Craven. They dropped the track bar a couple rounds. The car is still tight, though. Let's go up to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Matt, to update what the leaders did. Jeff Gordon went in that time. He made no adjustments on the car. They felt like they had it as good as they could get it. However, I did tell you that Dale Jarrett made an adjustment on the left rear. They took a 1 round of bite out. Now, they traditionally have had their car a little bit tight early in the run, and so they felt like with the fresh tires, they might be able to loosen it up just a little bit. That's the first adjustment they have made since the very first pit stop today. Be interesting to see what it does to the car on the racetrack.
We'll all find out here together as the field gets set to go green here. There you see the story. Ford, Chevrolet, Pontiac hasn't led today, though they have won 9 of the last 18 races at this racetrack. Of course, the Jarrett name up front, not a surprise here. Ned Jarrett ran well here over the years, drove his last race here at Rockingham back in October of 1966. Well, let's see if Mark Martin can get back on the lead lap. He's running in 12th. He's done it a few times today, though he hasn't been able to stay there. Doyle Ford says, slow down, slow down.
That's futile. Yeah, he didn't get a good start at all.
Watch this. Jeff Gordon's trying to make it 3 wide going down in the corner. Thought better of it and checked up just a little bit.
Working the back straightaway now. Lap 342 of 393. Jarrett and Burton, first and second.
run this kid Burton's having today, huh? Very strong.
Just in front of him, Mark Martin's in the second slot on the racetrack, but what he wants to do is get by Jarrett and get back on the tail end of the lead lap and hope for a caution.
If you're a David Green fan, he's back on the track 80 laps down after the accident of earlier today when he went out at lap 262, but he is smoking at the left rear of his car. It looks like a tire rub, and he's going to be called onto the pit lane for consultation. There goes Mark Martin back on the tail end of the lead lap. A shot by him going into the corner. Now if Martin can find a caution flag here, he'd be able to come around and get back in line. But we've seen this scenario three times already today. After another 8, 9, maybe 10 laps, Jarrett would normally just blow right by Mark Martin again.
Boy, I'd have been hard pressed to change the handling on the 88 car of Dale Jarrett, but he might have looked in the mirror just before that stop and realized that the 24 car of Jeff Gordon was running so well coming up on him.
And that second spot changing hands. Give it to Jeff Gordon. Jeff Burton now back into the third position. Further back, Earnhardt and Rudd, a good battle for 8th and 9th spot. There they are.
Side by side again.
That's been a good tussle all afternoon long.
Yeah, it's kind of a role reversal, though. This time we got Earnhardt upstairs and Rudd on the bottom. It's been the other way much of the afternoon.
Inside of 50 laps to settle it here at the Rock.
Schrader back there in the 33. He's a lap down in 15th spot.
There you see the spread from that battle up towards the front. Robert Presley having retired his Cartoon Network machine after the accident over there in the corner. Steve Burns, I believe, has caught up with him.
Robert, another hard lick this week. What happened?
I don't know. Knew somebody was underneath me getting in one, and then they said somebody else stuck their nose in there, make it 3 wide. I don't know. It's hard to run side by side here, much less 3. But we'll get ready. We'll be at Richmond next week, Bar. I tell you, it was great today. We got a bad set of tires or something there that last set. Couldn't get going, so we just going to wait till another caution. We didn't want to be the caution.
You're back okay?
Yeah, well, just sore, but I'll be all right.
There's the battle for the lead. Jeff Gordon taking a peek high. Now he looks low. Has Gordon been holding something back for the very finish today? Jeff Gordon trying to lead for the first time this afternoon at Rockingham.
There he goes into the lead. He wants to come by at least one time and pick up those 5 bonus points.
Scoring is done officially in front of the scorer's stand, and around to the start-finish line they will come. So Gordon will pick up 5 bonus points. First time he will lead today at lap number 351. Has he been holding something back?
Eli, he's changing his line as we speak. He's really making that car work very well off the corner. You can see him closing in on Mark Martin up there, but look at this race back in the pack.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Craven again going high. And now back up front, Gordon holding off the challenge of Jarrett.
You can see Mark Martin, once he realized he could not hold those cars back, he moved over and let them go race. That's real sportsmanship there.
Look how close they run that wall in the backstretch. Inches off that wall.
Hendrick Motorsports, in the last 2 years, 22 NASCAR Winston Cup race wins. Jeff Gordon with 17, Terry Labonte with 5. Then throw in 6 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series wins for Jack Sprague and Terry Labonte. That, my friends,
that's pretty strong, huh?
That's success.
There's Ernie Irvan now. That's for 9th place. Rudd's got it. Ernie Irvan wants it. Not this time.
That shows you that the outside line is just as good as the bottom. Now it's up to the better cars.
Irvan just keeps marching forward. They get a caution flag, pit stops. He has to do it all over again. And the story of his day.
The battle for 9th. Again, Rudd by a half car length. No No change up front while we watch this battle. There goes Ernie Irvan down low, and Ernie Irvan makes the pass now, working the back straightaway. He's up into the 9th spot. At the front, it is still 5 car lengths separating Jeff Gordon, the leader, from Dale Jarrett in second. There they go around Hut Strickland, whose car is beaten and bruised after problems earlier. Glenn Jarrett, what do you think? Has Jeff Gordon been holding something back here for the finish?
I don't know. Let's ask Ray Evernham. Ray's been holding back something, or just all the adjustments finally paying off?
Adjustments, good set of tires, and he's just a heck of a driver.
Can he hold him off the rest of the way, you think?
I don't know. You know, Dale's been pretty good. Jeff ran that car pretty hard on the tires, so we'll see. There's quite a lot of laps left for Rockingham.
He's exactly right. It's going to be a shootout, I think, between those two. Let's see who's playing cat and mouse and which one is which.
Well, from Daytona's Victory Lane to the Waldorf Astoria to the set of The Late Show with David Letterman, and now to the Rock. It's been a big-time week, maybe even bigger for Jeff Gordon in a moment. There is the race leader. 15 car lengths further back, his second-place man, Dale Jarrett. There he is. 3 seconds further back, you've got the third-place battle. We're going to watch now as these machines go around the racetrack, particularly the next time by, the difference in driving style, not so much on the racetrack, but how they work the steering wheel. You look down the back straightaway into the corner, and as they come off the corner, you'll see Dale Jarrett working the steering wheel a little bit more. You see how Gordon, hands on the wheel is not moving at all, basically. Jarrett, meanwhile, has been sawing on that steering wheel a bit more coming off the corner, and I guess there's a reason to try and keep her down low. We'll see Jarrett the next time by.
Okay, we're going towards the back straightaway here. Jarrett's coming off the corner there. You can't really see his hands moving there, but all 4 we had the pleasure of seeing him really work that car to keep it down. The one thing that's happening right now is even Jarrett now is adjusting his driving line.
Yep. Keep that car as low down on the racetrack as he can. 367 laps on the board. Glenn Jarrett, you've got a good view of what your brother and Jeff are doing as well as they work the main straightaway.
Well, we're standing with Todd Parrott, Eli. Todd, this is the first time all day he's able to take the lead from Dale and keep it. What's going on?
Well, Jeff's been working on his car all day. And, you know, he's had a good car all day, been running right behind us. Our car's off just a little bit right now, and what can you say? We've led all day long, and just here at the end, he got by, so it's not over yet by far. If we have to pit, they're in trouble.
Okay, you hear that right now. They don't think they can do much with them on this set of tires, but they're hoping for a caution flag. Earlier on, they were praying for no cautions, but the roles are reversed now.
See how high he's going now, buddy?
What he's doing, he's watching Jeff Gordon and realizing he was not closing the gap on him, so he's moving around on the racetrack, and now Dale Jarrett is running pretty much the same line as Jeff Gordon. And I'm going to tell you right now that Jeff Gordon's a little bit quicker right now.
6th and 7th spot now being battled for on the screen. Here goes Ricky Craven. He's in 7th against his corporate teammate, Terry Labonte, who's running in 6th.
And this has been going on almost since the end of that caution flag period. This race between Jeff Bodine, Labonte, and Craven.
Ted Musgrave's been in that mix all day, too, but he's a lap down in 13th position. Bodine's having a super run, but look at this battle again. Craven and Labonte. And they'll race each other clean.
He's not doing what he said he'd do in the commercial, though. He's not following Terry around.
No, he's not. You got to wonder about Jarrett's pit stop, what they changed, and if it really worked out for him. All it takes is just one little adjustment that you think is going to make the car just a tad faster, and it doesn't.
And, you know, Jeff Gordon, this has not been a strong track for him either. His only top 10 finish in 8 races was his win in 1995 in the Goodwrench 500. His average finish here is above 23rd. Nearly 24th position is his average finish here.
He's got to win. His second best finish is 12th.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Eli, in another lap or so, or when we come back, Jeff Gordon's going to be in lap traffic, and that's going to have a lot to do with this.
The ongoing move now for Terry Labonte. He got rid of Craven, now battles Jeff Bodine. All of this taking place with just about 21 laps to go. A lot of fingers are crossed right now, and the strategy is playing out. Getting a little dicey out there right now in the final stages of the Goodwrench Service 400. Not so much for the lead, but from positions 5 on back, it has really been mixing up. Labonte, Ricky Rudd, Ricky Craven, Jeff Bodine, all in the mix over the last handful of laps, and they were banging off one another just a few moments ago, which allowed Ernie Irvan and Morgan Shepherd to close in just a bit. Let's show you what went on a few moments ago.
Little contact there. You could see Craven on the outside in the 7 car there, Bodine. They made contact. Craven did a nice job of not getting sideways there.
There's 9th and 10th place on the screen now, still on the lead lap. Ernie Irvan and the man with whom we are riding, Morgan Shepherd. Lap 380 on the board, 13 to go.
Morgan just hung right in there, bent up front end and all, still right there with the lead group.
Again, the rundown across the top of the screen. MCI Telecommunications handling the timing and scoring for NASCAR, and they're aboard on our TNN Motorsports telecasts here in 1997. We welcome them on board and hope you've been able to keep up with how your favorite driver is doing today with the crawl across the top of the screen.
Boy, Ricky Rudd is trying everything to get by Terry Labonte. Now he gets a pretty good run up out of turn 2 down the back straightaway there, side by side.
There's Craven going around John Andretti, but look at that battle. That's a dandy. That's 6th place.
Jeff Bodine hanging in there in that number 7 car. 12 to go. Getting down to her.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon's lead now 1 9/10 seconds. There he is, nearly 2 full seconds ahead of 2nd place Dale Jarrett. That's got to hurt for Jarrett.
Oh, 3 in a row if he finishes in 2nd. 3 second places in a row.
And the lap leads he has.
Yeah.
323 laps he's led today. 207 laps he led last year. I mean, that's significant. But hey, you got to give Ray Evernham and the boys credit.
Boys, I'd like to have a couple of seconds myself. That'd be pretty well.
Yeah, they have worked on this car all day long. Every time they've gone in the pits, they've tried something, and now they've got Blacker where they want her.
But Jeff Gordon's found the place that race car runs very, very well. He goes in, diamonds the corner, goes up a little high in the middle part of the corner, and really gets off the corner straight.
What's it you call it? A rocket ship with it?
That's what he called it.
Rocket ship.
Well, I think before the last stop, they realized that Jeff Gordon had a very quick car, and they needed to adjust on the 88 car. I wouldn't speculate whether it was good or bad, but whatever. Jeff Gordon is really handling well now.
Just went around Derek Cope in the Skittles entry. Derek running in 31st position.
And remember, too, the adjustment no one can see is the tire pressure adjustment, and they make a lot of those and just say, oh, no, we didn't change anything, just 4 tires. And that's all the teams, folks.
It is. 7 laps to go. Dale Jarrett led 323 laps today.
Eli, we have traffic just in front of Jeff Gordon that's going to come into play.
It will. A lot of traffic he's going to have to deal with. There you see it between turns 1 and 2. That's the traffic, and there's Gordon. He will have to deal with that as the race winds down to the final handful of laps. He's got Johnny Benson, Bill Elliott, Joe Nemechek, Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip, Dick Trickle, and Ward Burton, all in that pack of traffic ahead of him.
And all of them racing very hard for position, even though they're not on the lead lap. They're fighting for position. Yep. They're fighting as hard as Jeff Gordon is for what they have.
Most are on the same lap among those guys. They're a couple of laps down to the leader. Let's see how he handles it. Around Johnny Benson. Remember last year for Jeff Gordon? 42nd place at Daytona. Came here the next week and finished 43rd.
What a difference.
He was already 275 points down after 2 races a year ago. And now he's trying to win the first 2 here in 1997.
Anybody who wants a championship in 1997 is going to have to contend with this team for sure. Boy, are they starting out strong.
He's not forcing the issue on Rick Mast.
No, because Bill Elliott and those guys just in front of him there, and Ward Burton and Sterling Marlin, as they come off the corner, all these guys are fighting for position, and if I was Jeff Gordon right now, I'd be very content.
I just ride. You've got 2 seconds, 1.9 tenths on Dale Jarrett.
He's got a spotter right up on top of the roof that's watching all of this, who can help him through all of this traffic, who knows how far behind the 88 of Jarrett is, and it's a good ways behind, as you can see.
Coming to the white flag. One more time around for Jeff Gordon. He does not have to challenge any more traffic. He'll probably just follow Rick Mast's tire tracks around the racetrack. Jeff Gordon, prior to today, 1 win at the Rock. Now he has 2. Jeff Gordon wins the Goodwrench Service 400. Dale Jarrett comes home in second. Third spot is going to be a good battle. And here comes Rudd ahead of Craven and Wallace. Give it to Craven by inches there. So he'll take home 5th, Wallace 6th, Terry Labonte 7th. Jeff Bodine comes across the line in 8th. Ernie Irvin 9th. 10th is Morgan Shepherd. Dale Earnhardt 11th. That is the unofficial top 11, the drivers on the lead lap. And that man, Jeff Gordon, led only once today. 42 laps later, he's heading to victory lane. We are as well. As soon as we come back, Jeff Gordon wins, and the Rainbow Warriors are still atop the points. His 21st career win in his 126th career start. No doubt on that cell phone, talking to Rick Hendrick at home again. And there's Jeff Gordon, Glenn, climbing out of the car, and that's something to see, isn't it? Watch what
Absolutely, he's through with the phone call. And Jeff, congratulations. You continue your impressive start to 1997, but it was a handful today.
Oh, it was. I tell you. You know, there's certainly somebody looking over us right now. And first thing I want to say is, hey to Rick Hendrick. God is certainly with you right now in this whole facility and this whole team, and we're certainly proud. But today we just never gave up, and that's saying something right there. You just never can tell what's going to happen. And I just started to find that outside groove there at the end, right before that last caution, and it came in there late.
Were you holding anything back, or were you guys just all the changes you made finally came into play, and you found a groove that you liked?
I know it may have looked like we were, but we really weren't. Dale Jarrett was so strong today. I tell you, I thought we had nothing for him. And all of a sudden, I saw him get loose one time off 2, and I said, oh, I perked up and got up in my seat, and I started searching around, and I started to find an outside groove where I didn't slip the tires. And then that caution came out. I was like, oh, man, there went that groove, and it started to come back to me right there at the end. But I want to thank DuPont Automotive Finishes, Chevrolet. This thing was great today. Great Goodyear tire. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations to Jeff Gordon, Ray Evernham, the entire crew, and to you, Rick Hendrick, at home watching. Their motto, guys, is refuse to lose. Today was one of those days when they absolutely wouldn't settle for second best.
And they didn't have to. They get the win. The other Hendrick teammates, Ricky Craven comes home in 5th. Terry Labonte comes home in 7th spot. Of course, today, as is the case all season long, we'll be giving away to the winning crew chief, in this case, Ray Evernham, the Miller Lite Pit Crew of the Race Award winner. And we invite you to sit back and enjoy a Miller Time in honor of Ray Evernham, winner of today's Miller Time Pit Crewman of the Race Award. Dale Jarrett has to settle for second. Let's get his thoughts.
Well, Dale Jarrett, boy, it seems like every time you unload this car, second place. How heartbreaking is it? It seems like this car is so fast, it just seems to taper off there near the end.
Yeah, we didn't really slow down at the end. We were running the same speed we'd been running. Jeff just picked their pace up. You know, it wasn't like we fell off or anything like that. You know, we just thought that we were in a good position to win with the speed that we were running. They just hit on something that was obviously better than what we had. You know, it's unfortunate. We had a great car all day. The guys did a fantastic job in the pits. Everything except the last 30 or 40 laps.
That's a third straight finish in second place in the Cup car here at Rockingham.
And it was the 15th Rockingham win for Chevrolet. That ties the Ford Motor Company for top honors there. Jeff Gordon, he's in victory lane here at the Rock. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench Service 400 has been brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Miller Lite, who invites you to sit back and enjoy a Miller time. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Well, the fans filing out. We will file along with the results. Chevrolet goes to victory lane. And there you see the top 10, 3 Hendrick teams. Jeff Bodine comes home in 8th today. A good run for him. Ernie Irvin, if he were on the front straightaway, might well have been in victory lane. Who knows? And Morgan Shepherd, a good, strong top 10 today. Dale Earnhardt, guys, comes home in the 11th spot. Never really a huge factor today.
No, he really wasn't. Never led a lap today.
There you see Brett Bodine salvaging a good top 20 run, and Dick Trickle, buddy, even after the problems of earlier, came home in the top 20.
Well, and Mark Martin, you know, he was such a factor at the first part of the race and then got a little loose before the first stop, and look where he ended up.
Kyle Petty, Dave Marcus. Here's where Bill Elliott finished his day. You see in 22nd spot. On down the line, and some of the teams that ended up in the garage area. Robert Presley, David Green, who came back late. Greg Sachs, Jimmy Spencer, who had overheating problems today. And then the first retirees, Kenny Wallace, Bobby Hillen, and Loy Allen Jr. So that's the numbers for today's event. Coming up next, Chris McClure and his crew will be on board with NASCAR Garage. You look behind the scenes at NASCAR. That's coming up next here on TNN, followed by Motor Trend Television. All of that coming up. And don't forget this evening, the PM edition of Race Day. Rick Benjamin on at 10 o'clock, followed by the SCCA Trans Am Series from St. Petersburg. That's this evening, 10:30 Eastern Time. It's right here on TNN Motorsports. For Dick Bergman and Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Matt Yoakum, and Steve Burns, I'm Eli Gold. Thanking you so much for joining us. A big thank you to the folks from Food Lion for the aerial camera today. And by better than 2.5 seconds, the Rainbow Warriors are back in victory lane. Jeff Gordon wins in Daytona. He wins today in Rockingham. Hope you can keep your dial with us right here on TNN Motorsports. We'll be along all season long, including the Busch Series race in Las Vegas. So keep it right here for more motorsports than any other network. So long, everybody.